Good to have you here, 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Great Thursday to you. Kevin and Ben here with you. Glad you're making us a part of your day. So much to come on the show. We are 2 weeks out from the NFL draft, Ben Troop, and of course, a lot of he said, they said, what can we do here? What are they going to do there going on all around this draft? We'll talk to Matt Lombardo, NFL insider for Fansided, who says, hey, a lot of folks think it's well known that Doug Peterson wants to go offense with number one. I guess the question of, will he get to override that vote and make it happen there for Jacksonville? He will join us coming up here in just a little bit. Braves out on the West Coast, starting a 7-game road trip. Also, Hawks beat the Hornets last night in big fashion. They're on to yet another play-in game coming up Friday night. So we'll get to that coming up on the show as well. But Ben, always college football on the brain here on 3 and Out. ESPN's FBI, the Football Power Index, which is nothing more than a formulation. It's not an opinion. It's not people voting on it. It is simply a computer saying, this is what I think based on the data you've given me is going to happen. So they put out their top 10, Alabama 1, Ohio State 2, Georgia 3, Clemson 4, Notre Dame 5, Texas, Michigan, Oklahoma, Pitt at 9, and at number 10, Auburn. Let me say it again. Number 10, Auburn. Not Texas A&M. Not an LSU. Not anybody like that. Auburn, number 10.
Well, number one, it shows that the computer even knows that Alabama is the best team in the country. Ohio State. I mean, just look at the quarterbacks. Bryce Young, Heisman Trophy winner. C.J. Stroud, Heisman Trophy finalist. Stetson Bennett coming off a national championship. DJU, can he live up to the hype? Notre Dame with the brand. Texas with the brand. Michigan coming off a banner year last year, winning the Big Ten and obviously beating Ohio State. Oklahoma's going to be good no matter who's there. I mean, whether you're getting Coach Venables, Pitt, we'll see what happens there with with Slovis. And you're talking about Auburn. No USC on it. No USC, and I'm talking about the Trojans. You talk about a team like Texas A&M. You talk about maybe a team that could have a resurgence like an LSU. I think, Kevin, when you think about these preseason rankings, like you said, somebody could say, who you think is going to be top 4? Oh, man. Alabama, they're bums. Georgia, they bums. Ohio State, Clemson. And Clemson, for those who think they had a bad year, they won 10 games. They just didn't win, enough games to obviously go to the ACC championship game. But Auburn is a head scratcher. You talk about Coach Harsin and just, I don't know what happened last season. Excuse me. During the season, after the season, Bo Nix moves on to Oregon. You do, Kevin, as you mentioned before the show, you got your running back, you got your offensive line, but is Auburn going to be Texas A&M? No. Is Auburn going to be Alabama? No. Is Auburn going to even beat Ole Miss, maybe even Arkansas? Who knows? I mean, I just think that it can't be. Listen, it can't be based off what they bring it back. Definitely can't be based off the schedule. So I don't know. Maybe Coach Harsin knows something we haven't. Maybe who knows, man? Maybe the person that put this together, maybe he's an Auburn fan. I really don't know. But Auburn is a head scratcher. But it is preseason rankings now. Those top 4, I don't expect those guys to slip. Notre Dame obviously don't have to worry about being in the conference. They back to doing what they want to do and letting their regular season speak for itself. Texas, I just don't get it. I mean, this Texas stuff. What, Steve Sarkisian? I mean, and for those, and once again, Texas is kind of like, I mean, they ain't like the Cowboys, but you talking about brand equity? Oh, they got that. But as far as like being back to what? They won one national championship under Coach Mack Brown, and that was in 2006 with Vince Young and that star-studded cast. I mean, he's had guys that came through there. I mean, he had Ricky Williams and Priest Holmes and so on and so forth. They have won that. So when they're talking about getting back to this big brand of Texas football, I don't get that part. Michigan is Michigan. Michigan got the brand equity. I mean, Coach Harbaugh said, I'm going to come back to Michigan. I like being the big man on campus. I like running everything in Ann Arbor. Oklahoma is Oklahoma. Coach Venables, he's going back home. He's trying to do the Coach Frost thing. This is the thing about that, though. How is it working out there for Coach Frost in Nebraska? Sometimes, but I do think Oklahoma is a different animal. They're going to recruit really well. Pitt is Pitt. Bringing over Slovis from USC and Auburn. Like I said, Kevin, I'm with you. I don't know how out of anybody you could – Auburn might be scratching the claw to get the 6 wins in 2022. I could be wrong, but I don't see how they preseason number 10.
Yeah, again, I it's going to be interesting to see what actually comes out in the human polls, but I feel like most people, if you would have said come up with a preseason poll like most people outside of Auburn, maybe Pitt, would have come up with at least a top 5. I mean, I know Texas is getting a lot of preseason love and hype for what they've been able to do, but if you're Jimbo Fisher, just got the best recruiting class ever, and have been doing some wonderful things. Just beat Alabama last year, and the computers don't think you're very good, right? I mean, I say that in jest. I mean, you're not in the top 10, and at best, you would be 3rd in your division. That's not what you're going out there trying to do if you're Jimbo. And again, this is a computer ranking. I'm sure Jimbo would say, well, it's a good thing they don't play football with computers.
Yeah.
But again, just a little bit of an insight into the early thoughts of a Pentium chip in college football terms.
It's gonna be a wild season, and obviously, Kevin, I will say this: when I first got in media with you guys, and I didn't understand about sensationalizing things. I didn't understand it, and now that I'm in it longer, I think to myself, we don't got to do this. Like, whoever did this, Auburn. So this is what this does. If you're Auburn,
well, computer did it. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
maybe the computer's in sensationalism.
When people say, "Hey man, do computer got glitches?" The 2 words, hell yeah, you got glitches. You need to slap the side of it. But look, I haven't kept up with Auburn that much. I don't know what they've done this offseason. I haven't really kept up with them in the transfer portal. You know Auburn is going to be competitive, but that don't mean you should be ranked top 10. Now, I just think that too, when you start thinking about college rankings, it's who you are, who you play, and how you play. Well, Alabama fits that. Ohio State, Georgia, and Clemson fits that. Notre Dame is Notre Dame. I don't know if Texas fits that. I don't know if Pitt is going to fit that this year with a guy, Kenny Pickett, who was there 5 or 6 years before he was able to put it all together last year. Auburn definitely does not fit that. So I don't get the whole, because when I think about the top 10, I could have easily thrown Texas A&M in there. I mean, I don't know how good USC going to be out there, but I just think that too. When you start thinking about teams that got a shot to make some noise, I don't think it's going to be Auburn this year. And you know how it is, Kevin. If the Jacksonville Jaguars couldn't even have a good season, and they pros with a head coach that had controversy, Coach Harsin. I mean, how awkward was him walking back into the freaking facilities with everything that was going on? You know, some of those players probably was involved in it. Now, sorry, fellas, he's going to be retained. What? So if they could get past the distractions, I know right now it's spring. We still got the summer, still got the fall. But I'm sorry. Auburn went undefeated in 2004, didn't win the national championship, didn't even get a chance to play in one. They won a national championship with Cam Newton, went to another national championship, but I just think that now, number 10, listen, I get proven wrong all day, every day. You're going to have to prove me wrong again with something like that.
The computers will have to prove you wrong in this. No, I wanted to go back to, is this still the acceptable method for fixing a glitch? You just smack the electronics? Is that what we do?
I mean,
I know if you're of our age,
yeah,
like that's the first reaction. Like, this stupid thing don't work. Smack.
I mean,
and you give it a little love tap.
Yeah, I mean, look, the default settings ain't what they used to be. Let's just call it what it is. But Kevin, think about it. I mean, okay, me and you, they say, hey man, we want you guys to put out a top 10, and this is our top 10, and we got to read it live. I said,
yeah.
Well, dude, you got.
Yeah.
I look, like I said, I haven't kept up with Auburn. This is the preseason. This is the early.
And this is just a computer projection based on, but still, I'm wondering what input went in there based on what.
Yeah, exactly. For who? For what? Yeah. When did this happen?
I'm amazed though. I want to go back to how we fix electronics. I'm amazed that through all of our technology, I mean, like this is God's honest truth. That when we were kids, if the TV was not acting right, the solution was to, hey, maybe there's an electronic. Nope, slap it, boom, bang. Hit on, and usually it would come back. It would come back in. So throughout the course of all of our technological advances, the best solutions we've come up with for fixes are slap it, hit it, unplug it, and plug it back in. That's the whole thing.
Yeah, the unplug and plug it back in. I do that now. I like just turn it off, turn it back on. Or what about the remote? It ain't working, and you might be about as close to the TV, and it start working. And you just sit there and look, man. We come from the old school of technology.
That is fun. That is true. I will do that at home. Hey, the remote's not working, so you take a step closer. You take another step closer, and then finally, like you said, you're 2 inches from the thing. Something's wrong with this remote.
Let's not even get to the rabbit ears. Look, man, you don't even want to get to the antenna. With but you got to. All I'm saying is, our kids now, they think technology. I mean, y'all don't know. I know I be sounding like my dad when I say y'all don't know nothing about no bad technology. This is nothing. This right here. I mean, nowadays all you have to worry about now is bad weather conditions. And then depending on what cable service, you got it might go out. But it's like, come on, man. I mean, you hit that thing. Oh, I like when you can't do it and somebody go, move out the way. Bam. See? You got to hit it. You got to hit it. It's coming back. Don't love tap it. Man, you got to hit that thing.
I'm just amazed that was actually like right there on the side, just a little boom.
I mean, and that's what your repair guy would do. You would take it to get it repaired. You go, hold on for a second. See, man, it's probably 2 taps. You can get it one time. Hey, look, they'll make them. Listen, not only is everything smaller now and more like compatible, they don't make them like they used to. You used to beat the brakes off this old technology, and it'll still be just fine.
No tech repair. Did you hit it? Did you smack it?
Did you smack it or did you hit it? Because this is a hit, man. But you got to hit on the side, on the top, rub it a little bit. Or I mean, all kind of stuff. Man, we done did all kind of stuff. I mean, don't even get me to talk about batteries. The kind of stuff you do for a battery to get it to work. Yeah. Hey, man, that's another show for another day.
Fan. I would my battery secret, especially on like the remote. You just take them out and flip them. So if one's going down, the other's going. You just flip them, and then it starts working. I don't ask me why it does, but it does. And you can
we would do anything to keep from buying a new battery.
Yeah, and you can extend. Well, I mean, if it's 9 o'clock at night and your batteries go out in the remote, what are you going to do? I mean, I guess you can't go to the store now. But
go up to the TV and I'm not flicking the TV right there on
the
TV.
On the new TVs, you can't even do that. Like there's nothing to push.
Exactly.
So I mean, the way technology has is fun, but the rabbit ears thing was awesome. Now, these kids today think rabbit ears are on the Easter Bunny. That's really what I mean. It's like that's the end of it. Rabbit ears for a TV. What are you talking about?
Get right.
Was it dressing up for Easter? Or is it going to go find
And please don't let the handle of that old TV, they got to go, dun, 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 dun. Please don't let it come off. You got to get a screwdriver and put it real tight. Listen, we done did it all. We done did it all. I'm telling you. People like, man, you got a screwdriver on your TV. That's the only way you're going to turn it. Because when I think about it, because back in the day, because remotes have come a long way. Yeah. Now it used to be a little black remote. Just listen, you had the volume and you had the channel. That's it. Now, can't even figure out what nothing is.
When I was a kid, my parents had a TV where the power was a pull thing. So you pulled it on for power to come on, you pushed it to turn it off. So when that broke off, you had to get a pair of pliers and pull it out to get the TV to come on. It is what it is, man. We'll make it work, make it happen. We got so much more to get to here on 3 and Out. Not only did they put out preseason rankings, we also got playoff scenarios. And people say, "Oh, college football, man, it's wide open for all we shouldn't expand the playoffs." I will tell you why that's false. Just based on a simple computer. We'll get to that next. It's 3 and Out, Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Good to have you here, 3 and Out. Matt Lombardo, NFL insider for Fansided, joining us coming up here in just a little bit. We'll talk about his column. What do the Jags do at number one? He talked with a lot of folks about what Jacksonville is going to do at number one. Could it all be a smokescreen for someone else? We'll get to that coming up in just a little bit. But Ben, the same little computers there for the college football, the ESPN's Football Power Index did the preseason rankings. They came out with the college football playoff projections, and they ran the scenarios. And I will say, people say, oh, we don't need to expand the college football playoff. It works great. What is the most likely scenario, Ben, that you think the Football Power Index came up with for the college football playoff?
Let me guess. It's a team from the ACC named Clemson. It's two teams from the SEC, one in the East, one in the West, for Alabama and Georgia. And this is just awful brand and team, out of the Big Ten called Ohio State.
That is correct. It's Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, and Clemson. Again, so a computer telling us what we mostly already know. And again, so that had they said that had, and again, for those of you who don't want to expand the play, they said that had a 20% chance of happening. That's like the most likely scenario based on their formulations that it's Georgia. You want to know what the next few were? So again, you get up to like 30 or 40% of the projections all have some of those teams in. Only Notre Dame and Texas got into the next 4 scenarios. That's it. And they replaced Clemson in a couple. I think Georgia was out in 1, Alabama was out in 1, and Ohio State was out in 1. Otherwise, it was Notre Dame was in 1, Texas was in 3 of them for some ridiculous reason. Again, until they do it, I don't know if we're believing the Texas we're back situation. But again, we don't need to expand the playoffs yet. Ben and computers came up with basically the same 4 teams who they feel like are going to be in there. Now, does that mean that's who it's going to be? No, but the most likely scenario are Georgia, Clemson, Bama, Ohio State. Again, you could do that with very little college football knowledge and have a lot of people come up with those 4 teams. Does that seem like a good system? I don't know. But again, 20% likelihood of those 4 teams making it into the college football playoff.
When people start talking about odds, we haven't played a down of football. There's a 20% chance these 4 teams are going to get in.
According to the computer. I'll keep saying that.
And just them versus the field. I'm going to say this, and I know people don't like this. If your team hasn't even sniffed a college football playoff, if your team hasn't even gotten an opportunity to win their conference, you're not going to win a natty. I'm telling people right now, while we make a big deal out of the national championship, it's about perception and recruiting rankings. Prove me wrong. Because Texas A&M has the number 1 recruiting class in the country. That's all they're going to get. They're not going to win the West. They're not going to beat Alabama. They're going to be scratching the claw for 2nd and 3rd place. And yet, come 2023, they're going to try to have another recruiting class, right? Kirby Smart finally got over the hump, won the national championship, right? Number 1, number 2 in recruiting. Who's number 3 in recruiting? It's going to go Alabama, Texas A&M, Georgia, number 1, 2, and 3 in recruiting. All right, well, Texas A&M can't beat Alabama, so they can't be in the top 4. Ohio State, they lost to Michigan, and people, this is the thing. Ohio State lost to Michigan, what? This is the first time in, 10 years? The last time LSU beat Alabama, they won the national championship in 2019. Hadn't beat them in like almost 8 years. When you start talking about the computer says, all right, blind taste test, we're going to just throw them in. I'm not going to tell you who. Boom, we be like, it's Alabama. All right, do it again. Throw it in there. Georgia. All right, do it again. Clemson. Do it again, Ohio State. They did it 50 times, and one of them, and out of 2 times it popped out. Notre Dame popped out freaking Texas. Who thinks Texas is gonna be a part of this? Who thinks Texas is gonna beat Oklahoma? So all I'm saying is, when you get to talking about college football, right? It's about when you peak. Right now, in the world of recruiting rankings, who is peaking? Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, Clemson. Who's gonna be hard to beat? Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, Clemson. Notre Dame, they got to run the gauntlet. They got to go undefeated. They can't lose. They can't lose any more games in the regular season. And I'm sorry, with Texas, I get so sick of that. We're back to what? I mean, you can't even win in the Big 12. Now you're finna come over to the SEC in a couple of years. I just know, Kevin, when we start thinking about the powers that be, I mean, the University of Georgia and the University of Alabama is the reason why the SEC has it just means more. Let's just call it what it is right now. That's taking nothing away from the Floridas. It's taking nothing away from the LSUs and the Texas A&M and so on and so forth. If you can't beat Georgia, Alabama, you can't win it. Clemson can, maybe. I don't think Ohio State can, not right now. So We talked about slapping over technology. Boop, the last segment. This segment is right back. Think about this: 2020, 2019, 2021, 2018. Who gonna be the top 4 teams? And all those Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State, and Georgia. It's been that the last 5 years, and it's not going anywhere. Georgia just won a national championship, so now they can afford to lose the game and still get in. Because they went undefeated in the regular season. We're gonna have to see if they can not win the East, which I don't see nobody, really beating them right now. So yeah, Kevin, different year, same result. And now they're saying we did it with the computers, though. Even the computers know. The computers know, hey man, my software ain't built to deal with this Alabama, Georgia, Clemson, Ohio. I got to spit this stuff out. I can deal with all this regular other stuff.
No, I'm just saying the more people say, oh, it's more than 14. I mean, by the computer models, as they said, through their own football power index, you have the same 4 teams as the most likely scenario that we've talked about a lot, with a few outliers being Texas and Notre Dame. And that's pretty much it. I mean, and so when people say, oh, there's 9-10 teams that could win a national championship, I mean, maybe that's true, but you look at some of the ways that people look at polling, Alabama, Georgia, Clemson, Ohio State going to be there, the way some of this stuff plays out, maybe Notre Dame, maybe a Texas. I don't know that there is 10 teams. And that's why when people get all mad and say, oh, you got to have more teams in the playoffs. Well, we can't do that. Of course you can. When you say, look at what every sports league is doing right now. And I know people say, you don't want to ruin the regular season. I'm sorry. The regular season, for the most part, gets ruined as soon as a team, if your team's not named Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, Clemson, as soon as your team loses the game, that's it. It's over. It's over. You're playing for the CarQuest Bowl. Yes. You play for whatever.
Yes.
So I know people say, well, what if your team loses in week 2?
Mm-hmm.
Every week matters. Well,
no,
not after week 3. It didn't. No. I mean, so that's what I always get.
Portion. I mean, let's call it a big portion of the country. Really doesn't matter when you talk about football. Like
no, but I'm not even saying that though. But I mean, the NFL expanded their playoffs. Did we need to do it? Maybe not. But it's still.
I think you expanded because, like you said, it's good. Look, we act as if everybody think you're going to tarnish the brand. You're going to mess up what? Like, it's more football. How many bowl games did you watch last year? I don't watch. That's right. So all those other teams are in bowl games. They got so many bowl games now. They'll do 3 or 4 bowl games in one day.
We made up a bowl game.
Listen, last year, we had a no-name bowl game last year. We still don't know what the location was, right? Kevin Thomas is about to have, a new Las Vegas bowl. We got to talk to
Derek Carr's going to help me sponsor.
Listen. The owner right there, the owner Davis, he gonna help us go out there and get one. But no, I just think that what's the problem? It's almost like it's not indicative of college football because you got too many teams, and you telling me out of 130, what P5 or whatever it is, you got G5, 14. That's ridiculous. There is no other sport that's like that.
Yeah, I mean, you're saying it is, and people say, well, so it's again. I'm talking about just you want to mix it up and get new teams in there, and people say, oh, well, this team's always going to win. Well, if it's based on 4 teams and money and prestige and who's going to the playoffs, yes, those 4 teams are going to be there for a long time. If I'm team number 10 in a 12-team playoff, and I can go to my recruits and say, look, we're in the playoffs. We need you to help us take a next step. Again, that helps disperse the talent, in my opinion, whereas right now, if you're a high school kid and you're like, I really want to win a championship, there's like 4 or 5 schools you want to go to. I mean, outside of that is positioning for the National Football League. I used to not ever talk like that because, again, I love college football. I think it's great. At the end of the season, though, I think even if you – and the argument shouldn't be, well, so-and-so doesn't have a chance. You know who people also say doesn't have a chance when you get to, like, college basketball? Gonzaga. I mean, they made the Final Four. They made the national championship 2 years ago. So I just think the argument of, well, they can't win anyways, so they shouldn't get in. No, that's the wrong reason to look at a playoff.
And even to take it a step further, the regular season, you get rewarded by going to the playoffs. And people will say, look, man, undefeated is not created equal. Sometimes
I understand. I understand.
But I will say, the big reason why they won't put teams in is because a no-name team can beat a big-name team. For one game, see, it don't matter when I got 10, 12 other games in the season to redeem myself. But for one game, you can lose. And they'll say, well, they only lost. No, they lost because they didn't win. That's why they lost. So I think what scares the most, Kevin, is they know, we don't want to start showing that the talent is a lot more even. That's almost like if one team gets out of the pub all the time, well, we know who they are. If you're the new team on the block and we don't hear about you that much, I give you a Coastal Carolina.
Well, Cincinnati took Cincinnati 2 years to get into a playoff. They had to be good for 2 years to get into a playoff.
Like Cincinnati, UCF, because they did it. They lost one game in 2 years, and that was the LSU with Joe Burrow. And like, oh, they done. I just think that college football is a lot more even than people give it credit for. I just think that, okay, these 4 are in, but you still should be able to put another, I don't know, at least 4 other teams in, maybe even 6 if you got 2 automatic, you got 2 top tier teams. I just think it's crazy, man. I mean, because while Georgia is the big dog on the block right now, it took them 41 years to do it. And they did, and they got it done. Give somebody else a chance to get in there. And like you said, you're gonna see a good game no matter what. Even if the St. Peters of the world ain't good enough, don't let them in the tournament. But see what happens? Kentucky, done, gone. First game. So I just think, Kevin, we can do a better job of it. I don't see what the big deal is. It is, but we don't want to share that pie, though.
Yeah,
we only got to split it 4 ways.
I just think it's fun when if you are a playoff person, it's like, no, 4 is enough. I mean, when most people can tell you who the 4 best teams are, allegedly, and when most people are looking at it here, saying you put a computer saying Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, Clemson is the most likely outcome, you got to look at a way to distribute the talent. I don't know if the talent is the right way, but make sure that other teams can have a chance. Otherwise, again, if you're an elite college, we saw 3 teams get over 50%, 40% of the top 300. That's not a way to grow the game, right? If this would be the equivalent of the Yankees, the Red Sox, and I'll just throw them out there, the Astros, because those 3 teams get 20 picks into top 50 players in a draft to work there for every year, and then we want to know why nobody but the Yankees, the Red Sox, and the Astros go to the World Series and win. Well, okay, and I know people's answer is like, just recruit better. Come on, man. Like, you're smarter than that.
Ridiculous.
You're smarter than that. Like, there's so much that goes into it of, now you have NIL money. You get booster money involved. You get all kinds of stuff. It is so difficult to try to compete with an Alabama and a Georgia right now, at Clemson and Ohio State in the world of college football. We got more to come here on 3 and Out. We'll talk some draft. Matt Lombardo, Fansided, joins us next here on 3 and Out, Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Good to have you back here. 3 and Out, Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Kevin Thomas, Ben Troop. Glad you're making us a part of your day. We are 2 weeks away from the draft today. Everybody looking at number one with what the Jacksonville Jaguars will do. Our next guest, NFL insider for FanSided, spoke with a number of folks around the National Football League about just that question. What will the Jags do? Matt Lombardo joins us here on 3 and Out. Matt, welcome. How are you?
I'm great, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, appreciate you coming on. So everybody's telling us it's Aiden Hutchinson. It's Aiden Hutchinson. You've got a couple of folks saying, hey, maybe that's a smoke screen, not so fast.
Yeah, my only consensus about what the Jaguars are going to do at number one, after talking to a handful of executives, scouts, coaches, and a current GM, guys, is there is no consensus about what the Jaguars are going to do at number one, not around the league, and maybe not even inside the Jaguars' war room, because the people that I talked to, it really sounds like Trayvon Walker is legitimately in play as the number one overall pick, and that it comes down to which of the pass rushers the Jaguars prefer. But multiple people, including an AFC coach, have told me that Doug Peterson really aims to come out of that pick with the best offensive lineman in this draft to kind of foster some goodwill with Trevor Lawrence and kind of jumpstart rebuilding that offensive line. So we're 2 weeks out, and it doesn't sound to me like there's anything that's been solidified for the Jacksonville Jaguars with the number one pick.
So, Matt, that being said, I mean, who does Mr. Khan trust? I mean, does he trust Doug Peterson, who obviously has a Super Bowl, or does he go with the GM who's in charge of picking the players? Because as you mentioned, Evan Neal was a consistent number one overall pick for a number of weeks, and all of a sudden, I mean, he kind of slid and it became Aiden Hutchinson. If it were you, would you go with the offensive lineman, or would you stick with the pass rusher?
You know, that's a really tough spot, because I look at both of these pass rushers and I think that they are immediate plug and play, high impact, starting caliber edge rushers in a conference where you have to go up against Patrick Mahomes, you have to go up against Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert and Russell Wilson and on and on and on. But I just look at what the Jaguars are trying to build there and how important it is to set a young quarterback up for success, and what a disaster it was for Trevor Lawrence in his rookie season with Urban Meyer, all of the drama that went on around there, and the real mess that offensive line had become, and the steps that they've made, signing Brandon Scherf, bringing in Cam Robinson on a franchise tag. It almost feels like this is their opportunity to get the line right? So if I were Trent Baalke and Doug Peterson came to me and pounded the table for Eka Mekwonu, or believed that Evan Neal was the number one franchise offensive tackle in this class, me personally, at Lombardo, it would be tough for me to pass up on taking the tackle, because this class is so deep, edge rusher. You can get a starting caliber player in round two, and the Jaguars certainly are well positioned from a draft capital standpoint, that if they wanted to move back into round one, maybe get a George Karlaftis, maybe get another edge rusher who might be falling, you can trade back in and get that guy while coming away with your bookend offensive tackle. So if it were me, I'd take whoever the top offensive tackle is on their board.
Do you think Doug Peterson wins that conversation, though? I guess to kind of follow up Ben's question, or is Trent Baalke, who has a lot of displeasure from receives a lot of distaste from the Jaguar faithful, does Trent Baalke ultimately get the override vote there? Or does Doug Peterson win that argument? I mean, I know we're talking about, but in that scenario, does Doug Peterson get what he wants?
You know, here's where I think things stand. I mean, you look at Trent Baalke, and his reputation around the league is about as maligned as it is among Jaguars fans. He's not a guy who I think a lot of people wanted to work with or work for during this hiring cycle. And the flip side of that coin is Doug Peterson wasn't exactly in hot demand this hiring cycle when it comes to head coaches either. It's going to come down to Shad Khan basically deciding whether he's going to cast his die with a Super Bowl winning head coach or a general manager who might have one foot out the door. It's a really tough call, guys. And, you know, given Baalke's reputation, it wouldn't surprise me if he winds up winning this power struggle, and whoever he decides is worth the number one pick, that's going to be what the Jaguars wind up doing.
Matt, you mentioned you understand what the Jags are trying to build around a guy like Trevor Lawrence. But Aiden Hutchinson has been, you know, on most boards, clear-cut number one overall pick, a can't-miss prospect. When you watch Aiden Hutchinson, obviously he's going to have to be a opening day starter to go alongside Josh Allen on the other side. What do you like about his game, and how does it translate to the National Football League?
Yeah, I think it's the fact that he doesn't take any plays off. I think it's the fact that he has a high motor. I think it's the fact that he has a multitude of pass rush sets and rush moves that he can deploy on opposing tackles. And he's just one of those guys that, you talk to people around the league, they see a little bit of Jared Allen in him. They think that he can be someone who makes multiple Pro Bowls. I think that's what kind of stands out about him. He's not a guy that has all of those X factors, if you will, that some of the top pass rushers in the league. He's just very consistent, very clean, and very productive. And, I'm not sure that that's the way that Jaguars are going to go at number one. If they look at his tape and say, you know what, we can win with that guy the way he is, then they'll take him. But if they project that someone like Trayvon Walker with his athleticism, his explosiveness, has more upside, and they're betting on upside at number one, I could easily see someone like Walker or maybe even a sleeper like Kayvon Thibodeau fall into that conversation.
Talking with Matt Lombardo, fan-sided NFL insider. And Matt, I know you talked to a lot of folks about the first round. Who was kind of like the consensus sleeper pick that nobody's out there trying to put out there, hey, we're really interested in this guy, but somebody's going to get us a steal in the first round?
Yeah, I think it's two guys. I think it's George Karlaftis out of Purdue, who in some circles had been talked about as a top 10 pick at one point. Seems to be sliding in terms of public perception, but he's someone that people inside the league are really high on. And Kyle Hamilton, you talk about a guy who at one point was in conversation as a legitimate top 3 pick. I'm not buying this narrative that he's sliding down boards. People that I talk to, executives and teams across the league, they basically told me that he has the range, the versatility, he has the vision, the instincts to be a top-tier safety in this league. And I wouldn't be surprised, guys, if we watch the NFL draft in 2 weeks and Kyle Hamilton was off the board a lot earlier than a lot of people expect.
Man, when you look at how these receivers have just transitioned from college to pro. I mean, specifically these LSU receivers of Chase and Justin Jefferson, but these guys coming in breaking records as rookies. This receiving class is loaded. Who is your top receiver? Who you think got the biggest chance to come in day one to make an impact?
Yeah, I think it's hard to argue against Olave as a speedster. I think it's hard to argue against, Jameson Williams coming in. I think that they both can be immediate starters and high-level players. But a sleeper to watch is Jahan Dotson. I mean, he's a guy that is a legitimate yards after the catch weapon, somebody who you can move outside, probably is going to be better in the slot. Doesn't have the biggest frame, which is probably why he slides down some boards. But he has the speed, he has the hands, he has the explosiveness. Those would kind of be my top 3 receivers who I think are going to make teams really happy. And I think that a couple of those guys might be able to be had after the top 15 picks or so.
Yeah, wide receiver class, very, very deep. Matt Lombardo, NFL insider with Fansided, our guest here on 3 and Out. Matt, we appreciate the time. Thanks so much.
You got it, boys. Thanks for having me on.
Appreciate it. And you can check out Matt there at Fansided. Great piece on the first round. And certainly the Jaguars got some folks saying, hey, don't believe 100% that it's Aiden Hutchinson that's going to be taken there at number 1. We'll react to that when we return. It's 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Good to have you back here, 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Kevin Thomas, Ben Troop, glad you are with us. Ben, react to what Matt Lombardo said. Maybe Doug Peterson wants offense.
Yeah.
And why not? Saying, look, I want to give he called it, I think Matt phrased it as a gesture of goodwill to your quarterback, Trevor Lawrence. You go out and get an offensive lineman there at number 1.
I think what Doug Peterson understanding is, Kevin, he's saying, look, who's the best player on my team? Trevor Lawrence. Take nothing away from Josh Allen. Who's the face? Trevor Lawrence. You go back when he won a Super Bowl. He had a guy like Carson Wentz who was having a MVP season until he got hurt. Right? What did he have around him? I mean, you talk about like the three-headed monster at tight end. I mean, he had a Selleck. I mean, he had Burton. He had Zach Ertz. Now this year he got Evan Ingram. He's gonna have to add some tight ends. They went out there and got Christian Kirk. They're going offense. And Doug Peterson saying, who's gonna help us win the quickest? This defense is gonna take some time because you got a lot of young guys. So he was like, if I can keep Trevor Lawrence upright, we got a good shot because he's looking at, okay, the AFC South. No one's afraid of the Colts, even if they just added Matty Ice. Got to find a way to beat Houston. That goes without saying. And you got to find a way to be competitive with Tennessee. You got a shot to compete in this division. Now that's easier said than done. And I think that's what any great team is saying. All right, give me the player that we got to protect. We got to protect Trevor. What's the best way to do it? Give him an offensive lineman. When we gave him Cam Robinson, check. We can go out there and, we got Jawan Taylor. We can go out there and get an Evan Neal, and I think what happens is, Kevin, you got Trent Baalke is the wild card, though. Trent Baalke, while he is not liked by 31 other teams, there's an owner in Jacksonville that seems to love him, that seems to say, dude, I trust what you're doing. So do you trust Doug Peterson, who is proven? How many coaches in the NFL can say they won a Super Bowl? Not many. Trent Baalke has proven to be god-awful with his decision-making. So I do think it's going to come down to the trust factor. And Kevin, look, I would not be surprised if anything happened with this first pick, because if you think you can compete now and in the future, you get Evan Neal. If you think it's going to take some time, you get Aiden Hutchinson, because you say, okay, well, we're going to start building our defense. We're going to get us – so you have a number 1 overall pick at defensive end, a number 1 overall pick at quarterback the previous year. But if you're trying to win now and protect your future, you go with Evan Neal.
And you say, well, you're going out and you just franchised the left tackle out there in Cam Robinson. Yeah. Why are you going out and getting more? I mean, again, Walker Little, you could kick inside. Jawan Taylor could move to a backup role. You could have Robinson and Neal. You went out and signed Brandon Scherf to play one of those guard spots. I mean, then you're talking about, even with a rookie at one of the tackles, probably right tackle, you could have a top 10 offensive line, right? And that's good if you're Trevor Lawrence. Hey, we've seen really good offensive lines make average skill players look really good, right? And I'm not saying they're going to be just out there, but again, let Trevor Lawrence have some time, open up holes in the run game, and all of a sudden you say, man, Jacksonville looks kind of competent, but I thought their running backs weren't all that. I thought their wide receivers weren't that deep. Well, amazing things happen when you have time. And to me, I feel like you've invested a lot. Who's going to be first to go? Trevor Lawrence or Aiden Hutchinson? Ain't going to be Trevor. So you might as well put something in front of him to help him stand upright.
Yeah, and football one-on-one is I got to protect my greatest asset, and I don't care whatever. If your greatest asset is not your quarterback, you're not going to win a lot of games anyway. I mean, you look at the playoffs. The playoffs are going to give 2 new teams an opportunity to venture into the playoffs. Now, last year, people can say, well, what about Joe Burrow? Joe Burrow is the top 10 quarterback. He proved it in his second year. Joe Burrow has won.
But even then, Ben, they had to go protect him.
Exactly. Now, I will say this.
And they didn't do a great job, but it was better than it was the year before.
I will say this. People, you got to put some context on when they beat Tennessee. You had a Derrick Henry that hadn't played all season. This obviously going to play in the playoff if he's healthy. He wasn't himself. You had an offensive line with Cincinnati that gave up 9 sacks to Tennessee. The problem was Tennessee couldn't convert those 3 and outs or those sacks into points. So Cincinnati goes on to win. When Cincinnati needed to get off the field, when Cincinnati needed to make a play, Aaron Donald said, "Nope, I'm not." So there's no fault in losing to the Super Bowl champ. But when you think about it, Kevin, the reason why they even made it to the Super Bowl in Joe Burrow's second year, because his first year he tore his ACL, he's out for the year. So I think that what teams are doing, and Doug Peterson is saying, "Look, man, what wins games is complementary defense, high-powered offense. Every single year, that's what you've been saying. High-powered offense, Complementary defense. You don't believe me? Who won the Super Bowl? High-powered offense. Now, I'm not saying.
I think the Rams were a little bit more than complimentary.
But I will say that when you think about the Jaguars team, if Aiden Hutchinson is the number one overall pick, where's his help? Meaning, Josh Allen might get a double team. It's just him. The D tackle position has to be addressed either in the draft or maybe before the season start with a camp casualty or something like that. So they say, what's the for sure pick? Evan Neal is for sure. I try to stay away from the for sure can't miss picks, but Evan Neal is pretty freaking good. The young man.
I look at Evan Neal, even if he busts, he's a tackle for 5-6 years in the league.
Yes, he plays. Okay, people go, how do you know you got your money's worth? He signed a 4-year deal with a 5th-year option. He said he played that 5 years. He's made it. Most guys ain't making it. You know. Okay, there's a guy by the name of Baker Mayfield. This is 5th year. He about to get the hell up out of Cleveland, right? It happens. So I think that for me, if Doug Peterson is the head coach,
Good to have you here, 3 and Out on this Thursday afternoon. Kevin Thomas, Ben Troop, glad you're with us. Thanks for making us a part of your day. The clock got me there. Top of last hour. You know, Ben and I were talking about offensive tackles and guards, and we just got carried away.
Hey, man, it happens.
We know you get involved with draft talk, and all of a sudden,
we put
got
out
2 minutes turned into.
Put our GM hats on. We think we could do a better job than Trent Baalke. What can
Well,
I think we can.
I'm just saying, maybe in the picking. I don't know. You start getting all them big numbers and how it works. I might not do so well.
We pick them and we get out of it. They pay us to pick them and we go. Hey, Ben, Kevin, no.
Y'all figure it out.
Yeah.
You just said pick the guys.
Here he is.
You just said pick guys. That's what I did
Exactly.
at the end of the day. All said and done. Well, it's 4:00. Let's take 3 here on 3 and Out. All right, Ben, take 1. Draft 2 weeks from today, obviously. What is the smart pick? Because the Falcons can literally go anywhere. And I actually saw a draft prognosticator. They were doing questions for every team, and they're like, the Falcons literally can pick anybody. It's fine. What is the smart pick at number 8?
The smart pick at number 8, if he's there, if it don't end up being a bunch of smoke screen, it's Kayvon Thibodeau. When you talk about the Atlanta Falcons and what they need, they need a pass rush. I know they went out and got Lorenzo Carter, in the offseason, signed a 1-year deal coming over, from the Giants. But if Kayvon Thibodeau is there, he is a smart pick because, look, I go back to 4 years ago when he's coming out of high school, the number 1 overall recruit. I was at Florida State with BJ when Willie Tiger's debut. He was there by himself. He's literally out there on the field by himself, taking pictures, shaking hands, kissing babies like the president. And then when the rest of the freaking recruits came, he actually went back and said when the recruits came out, he went back in. He had to tailed off. The guy was one of the best players in college football the last 3 years. So I think he is a smart pick, Kevin, because one, it fills a huge need. Now, he's going to have to get some help, but I think if he's there, I think he's a smart pick. And if I had to go up number 2, maybe I would go like a Sauce Gardner. I think when you think about what A.J. Terrell did in his second year, if you got 2 bookend corners, meaning you can put them 2 guys on the number 1 and number 2 receivers on any opposing team, that gives your defense a chance to go out there and kind of, work their schemes on the inside. I like Sauce Walker 2, but I like Kayvon Thibodeau 1.
That'd be interesting to go DB again. It seems like the Falcons really like DBs and wide receivers in the first round. To me, like the smart pick would be like a Kyle Hamilton.
Yeah.
If he's there.
Oh, yeah.
Again, I know people say, you didn't say one and I didn't. Well, you did. You did say Kayvon. I didn't say defensive end. Again, been there, done that, seen that story. I just like how many. It's not so much like, well, we got to surely walk it. Like, but how many times are you just going to spend that draft capital on getting that guy and hoping it works? Like, get somebody
it's the culture of the Falcons at this point.
I'm saying, but Kyle Hamilton, lock in.
Kyle Hamilton's there.
I'm going to say, if he's there, lock in. That's smart. Let him play. Beat it back in so you have a complimentary piece to go with A.J. Terrell in that defensive backfield. And then, again, as we've heard, defensive end is so deep in this draft. Go in round 2 and get you D in. I don't want to waste a first round. And I shouldn't even say waste. I just don't want to use a first round draft pick on a DN at this point if I'm Atlanta. Right? Because what are we going to be saying this time next year? Well, if I'm a Falcon, I'm really looking at the defensive end class and saying, I got to get me one of those. It's like, well, how many times do you want to keep saying that? At the end of the day, I'm going to go stay on the defensive side, but let's shore up the extreme back end there. All right, moving on. Take 2. We're 2 weeks out, as we mentioned. We talked with Matt Lombardo. We said, hey, maybe it's a smoke screen. Maybe people aren't as big on Aiden Hutchinson. Doug Peterson wants to go offense. Do you still think Aiden Hutchinson will be the pick or is the right pick for Jacksonville to make there at number 1?
I do. Oh, man. I do think Aiden Hutchinson is going to end up being the pick, Kevin, because I think what happens is when you start looking at players, it's bigger than if you get them. It's what happens if you don't get them and they end up being the person that's keeping you out of playoffs or just terrorizing you. And I think that's what a lot of teams are looking at. It's like, okay, bigger than if we don't get him. How bad can he potentially hurt us if we play against him? Can he take over a game? Can he end up being, Pro Bowls, all pros aside, can they take over games? A lot of teams had a chance to get, Aaron Donald. And every time he plays them, he makes you feel it.
You think, you think Aiden Hutchinson's Aaron Donald?
No. Let me say this. I am not comparing Aiden Hutchinson to an Aaron Donald. Nobody compares to him. What I am saying is, if you are a team, you're saying to yourself, we get our pick of the litter, right? The thing about an offensive tackle, while they're going to be, you hope they're going to be, Joe Thomas, he's there for the next 10, 15 years. That's what you hope. But a defensive end, they can disrupt a game, meaning they get you extra possessions, strip sacks, fumbles, tackles behind the line of scrimmage, causing chaos in the run. It's just so many things a defensive end can do if you can get that kind of potential out of him. So I think that's why you potentially get an Aiden Hutchins. Like I said, I mean, his story is there. He got the size, got the athleticism, got the motor. We'll see, but I think it's going to end up being Aiden Hutchins and Kevin because it's the safest pick to get. But
is
it's also,
it?
Well, I say this. Well, let me say this. I don't think it's a safe from a perception. From a perception, yes, it's safe. But from a realistic thing, I mean, it's if Doug Peterson, if this wasn't his first year with Jacksonville and his second year, I would think they're going to get Evan Neal. But because they was making these decisions, they was thinking about Aiden Hutchinson like during the season, well before they even hired Doug Peterson. I think they're going to go with Trent Baalke, who's probably going to go with Aiden Hutchinson. Because if it was up to Doug Peterson, it's going to be Evan Neal.
I mean, it sounds like he could go Walker if you leave it up to Trent Baalke. I've never really been sold on Aiden Hutchinson because, again, I feel like people are wanting me to look at the Ohio State tape more than they want me to look at the Georgia tape. And I get they can offset each other a little bit. But also when you read some of the scouting reports, saw this today on a write-up of Aiden Hutchinson. A lot of people say, I would take Aiden Hutchinson because he's ready to play right now. Don't know if his upside is as high as anybody else in the draft, and he may already be what he's going to be. Whoa. I want a number one pick that's good and has upside, right? I mean, isn't that what we're trying to do? Like,
yes,
I don't want a rookie to come in.
I want the number one overall pick. He had look, he can't have any. Everybody has flaws, but he has the least amount of flaws out of everybody in the draft. And I don't want to hear this. He don't have as much upside. What do you mean? I don't want a player in college saying that's his peak right there. His peak is at 21, 22 years old before he gets to the pros. That's not, no, I want to say.
But again, I saw a write-up and said, look, he could be solid now, but his 3-4 year projection down the road, he may not be much better. I want better than that with my number one pick. If it's a team that perennially loses, overall,
yes.
For a team that perennially loses like Jacksonville, yeah. I've been on the Evan Neal train from the beginning. I am starting to look at football teams like you do Major League Baseball teams. Just when you think you have a set offensive line, you have enough offensive linemen, go get more. Because injuries happen, messes up the rotation. And we've seen what happens, Ben, when you lose a key piece of your offensive line, it all falls apart, and you go from a team that's very solid. I still go get, I'd say Evan Neal. Wouldn't be upset if they went another direction and got another one of the tackles. But, I mean, you just look at the versatility it gives you, and you could have a really good offensive line in front of a quarterback that you think is your franchise quarterback. Don't David Carr him. Like, you understand what I'm saying? Like, don't go out there and be like, well, Trevor, he's going to get by on his talent alone, and we got him a left tackle. Well, unfortunately, there's 4 other guys that have to block too. And so I'm if I'm Jacksonville, that's what I wanted. I'm not saying Aiden Hutchinson won't be a good player, Ben. Call me disappointed if he's the number one pick 2 weeks from today.
It's probably going to. It's probably like I said, Kevin. I mean, nobody's going to be more scrutinized than a first round pick, but nobody's going to get even more than a number one overall pick. Their goal is to try to show you every kink in his armor. But I think the thing about it is people gonna go back to that Georgia tape. Well, how many teams, and that's all of them, gonna go back to the Georgia tape of 2021 and say, throw it out, don't look at it. That's not my best work. Now that was definitely not Aiden Hutchinson's best work, but I just think.
But you're gonna see tackle play like that and better every single Sunday.
Listen, Warren McClendon. You know what I'm saying? I mean, 912's finest, Brunswick High School's finest is gonna be a top pick one day. Because they're going to go back, because it's the number one overall pick is Aiden Hutchinson. They're going to say, well, look at what I did him. That's when I'm a sophomore. So I just think that if Aiden Hutchinson is the guy, it's because that's the hype train and he has the upside. But like you said, Kevin, if there's somebody out there who has a much higher ceiling and a lot less question marks and you can put on all of his tape, I will go with that guy.
All right, moving along. Take 3. Who is your favorite player in the draft? I don't say – like, who's a sleeper? Like, who's a guy that you just like? I don't care if he's going number 1 overall. Who's a guy that you like, your favorite player in the draft?
My favorite player in the draft, surprise, surprise, is a tight end. Surprise, surprise. But it's a guy that I got a chance to talk to, and I think it's Chikosium Okonkwo, tight end out of Maryland. He's 6'2", like 250 pounds. What I like about him is he's very, very versatile. They used to let him run the ball. Like at Maryland, had a chance to talk to him on Troop Talk about some weeks ago. But what I like about him is, Kevin, he's that Swiss Army knife. Kind of reminds me a lot of Delaney Walker that played, for my Titans, What I like about him is he's very, 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 very versatile. And he's like, he's short and stocky and he wants problems. I mean, look, great blocker, great pass crusher, and shows the level of athleticism that I think the NFL is going to. Yes, you want the 6'5", 6'6". You want the Darren Wallace, you want the Kyle Pitts, you want the Travis Kelce's. But Delaney Walker, when he was with the Titans, he was uncoverable. You could not cover him. And when you see him, you're like, well, dude, he's like a tweener. Like he's tall enough to not be short, but he's just tall enough to not be that tall. And he's a really, really good player. And I think sometimes, if I got a 1B, I love Isaiah Likely, from Coastal Carolina as well. But what I like about Chikosium is when you take a guy like him, you're not gonna make him into something he's not. He's going to put his hand in the ground. He's going to play in the slide. He's going to put his hand in the backfield. But when you see the fact that he can run the football, hey, man, I just like a guy like this. So Chikosium Okonkwo, this is a Georgia boy, by the way. Yeah, them Georgia boys going everywhere but, Georgia these days, going to Maryland, going all over the place. But Chikosium, Okonkwo, I think is going to be a really, really good prospect because sometimes your college coaches do a really, really good job of giving the offensive coordinator that's going to draft you ideas. This is how you use him. You don't got to make him into something he's not. This is what he is. This is who he is. But athleticism, when I interviewed, I said, "What's up with y'all Maryland tight ends, man? Chikosium Okonkwo, freaking Vernon Davis. I mean, y'all got what 2% body fat, 12 packs. What's going on?" But Chikosium Okonkwo, I think is probably. Hey man, I think my Titans got a good shot to get that Joker too. I think he's going to be a really, really good player.
Again, I'm going to go with the guy that probably. I mean, I think he probably should end up going in the top 10. But Sauce Gardner. I mean, only because one, he's got a cool nickname, but two. Like you look at some of his stats and you're like, that is insane. Like, but never gave up a touchdown. Yeah. There at Cincinnati, you're going, oh, well, that's because he's in the no. I mean, the playoff game. Yeah. I mean, he played against Alabama. Did Alabama throw one on him? Nope.
0.
And so you're wondering, how long can that kind of go? Because somebody is going to. I mean, Ben, if you're an opposing wide receiver, you're like, hey man, he's never given up a touchdown pass to college. He's about to give one up today.
Here's what you can coach: 6'3", long arms, 4'4", ball skills, 1-on-1. Listen, the bump and run corner. So no. Once again, I hate to use these comparisons, but not as far as what he's going to end up. A faster Richard Sherman, because Richard Sherman's 6'3". Richard Sherman, obviously going to be a Hall of Fame cornerback one day, but just imagine a shiftier, faster, quicker Richard Sherman. Because Sauce Gardner, I don't care who you are. You didn't give up a touchdown pass in college to nobody. I mean, even the great ones give up plays, right? Even in the Super Bowl.
You trip, you fall down, you say anything.
But I think the thing about Sauce is when you look at him, and you say, listen, my name is Sauce, man. I go out there and get it done. When you better be able to play. When you look at his tape, listen, think about it. Played against Georgia in 2020, played against Alabama in 2021, and gave up 0 touchdowns to Alabama and Georgia. The guy can flat out play, and I love Derek Stingley Jr. I love Kyer Elam. That my Florida boy. But I just think that Kevin, 6'3", 6'3", 200 pounds, 4'4", long arms, ball skills. Nothing cheap, nothing deep. I let my eyes and my technique take me to the rock. Oh, and when it comes to the end zone, outside of me just playing in it before the game, ain't nobody getting in it during the game. That is Atlanta. Terry Fontenot, do the right thing, man. Kyle Hamilton ain't there. Kayvon Thibodeau, give me DJ on one side, give me Sauce on the other side.
Have you ever met a guy nicknamed Sauce that can't play? I mean, if you're nicknamed Sauce and you can't play,
and he already got the diamond pendant showing the sauce. Hey man, listen. I mean, think about it, Kev. I mean, you look, Ron Acuna, Ice Tray, Sauce. Let's do it.
Just have them all one big collection there in Atlanta. That's Take 3. We do it each and every day. This time we'll come back. I know I wish BJ was here because he loves the unwritten rules of baseball, and they kind of reared their head again the other night. We'll get to that next. It's 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Good to have you back here. 3 and Out. Kevin and Ben. Glad you're making us a part of your day. Braves on the West Coast tonight, taking on those San Diego Padres. And speaking of the Padres, Ben, those unwritten rules of baseball came up a couple nights ago. The Padres got all upset with the Giants because they were bunting while they had a huge lead in the 6th inning. And Gabe Kapler, who once tried to go to the bullpen with nobody up for the Phillies when he was the manager, came out and said, quote, "We don't want a team to bunt, we defend a bunt. We don't want a team to steal, we will defend a steal. If we don't want a team to swing 3-0 late in the game, we'll throw a ball." Basically saying, take your unwritten rules and stick them where the sun don't shine. We'll do what we want, play defense, and shut up.
Gabe, I love you. This is why. Kevin, listen, when it comes to everything everything has a time and place, right? When you talk about sports, yeah, the bat flip, you don't like it unless it's your team winning the World Series against a foe. Then you don't mind it. It's always when it's being done to you. Now, the expectation, what we're talking about is unwritten rules are, handshakes before the game. Look, man, if it starts to get out of hand, like, look, because what you guys don't realize is, man, I'm always practicing for something down the road. Like, I know I make myself a target when I do this. I know that because you guys wanted us to kind of call the dogs off. But the Braves have scored 16 runs on one game and scored 1 the next game. Man, you got to cherish these moments, and you don't even know what I'm working out when it comes to my team. I mean, winning is contagious, and it has to be something that is developed time and time again. But this notion of yelling at the duck, man, look, you better stay over there. Who is you? This is my team. And I get it. Team is up by 40, you want to call the dogs off. But if I put those second stringers in, they're trying to get right. I mean, think about how many times you invited your people to the game and you know you're not going to play. All of a sudden, hey, call your number. What? Your jersey all clean? So I just think that sometimes, Kevin, I get it. Am I saying it's a never? No, but you got to pick and choose. Man, it's April. Really? Come on, man. Like, I'm trying to develop some consistency with my team. So if that means that you got to be the blunt of it, it's 1 out of 162, man. Ain't nobody's going to remember this. Clayton Kershaw got pulled 7 innings in, and he giving up a perfect game. And you complain about this, man. I get it. Because I get it, Kevin, when you talk about the sportsmanship of the game, I get it. But you're not disrespecting anybody. I miss the Yasiel Puig and Madison Bumgarner. You give up the home run, no, you don't tell me how to run the bases because I just went yard on you. I think people look at it and say bunts like, hey, the game's out of hand. Why are you out here bunting for a hit? It kind of the same thing of, hey, we're getting beat 42-0 in football, and you're out here running 50-yard goes on us. Like, okay, and I know the answer is like play defense, but I think on the other side we're like, look, it's over. Just let's get it over. So I understand what the Padres are saying, but at the same time, I am a proponent of at least play the game. I think that the things that because BJ will say, oh, you're old school, you probably get mad. Look, should you be stealing up like 10-0 in a Major League Baseball game? Probably not, but I don't have a problem with it. That's part of the game. And as you said, even if you go to bench guys and you give some guys the rest of the night off and you say, look, we're going to take it. I'm not going up there telling my guys not to try. Because BJ and I have gotten into a thing of we've had like high school games where somebody gets beat 99-0. And I'm like, he's like, you're okay with that? I'm like, yeah. I was like, as long as you're telling your guys to not go up there like, hey, we're going to stretch this to a triple. Like, no, but I'm saying don't go up there. And I've seen teams walk to try to get out. Yeah. Literally like, hey, we know you can't get us out. So we're either not going to swing, or if we get on base, we're just going to walk and let you get us out. To me, that's more disrespectful than just playing the game. It is. So just play the game. Where I draw the line in my curmudgeon state that I find myself in a lot is, to me, when it's I think baseball, and you could say this probably about other sports, Ben, but I just know baseball is built on failure. And BJ will say, well, that's all the more reason to celebrate. I think it's such a humbling game that if it's, 7-2 and you bat flip me, yeah, you got me. But what about the 4 other times when I smoked you and you sat down? It's like, kind of keep that in mind. So I think that's the part of it. It's like, I don't mind that you celebrate. I think if you're out there, bat flipping me to the moon and all that, because you got a hit down 7-2, there might be one a little tight.
the next time you come on to play.
Now, and that's what I mean. When you listen, the greatest bat
standing on the Cowboy Star.
Well, yeah,
you gotta know that's the kind of stuff.
The greatest bat flip, one of the greatest I've ever seen is when Joey Bats did it. Like when he did it. But like you say, Kevin, it's like this. Look, if I'm watching football, I'm saying, all right, Kevin, I can show you something that only I saw. There are things that happen that you go, you saw something, go, oh, he doing some nonsense, because you watching the game and knowing the game is different. I tell you that all the time. You know baseball. And you know when you say, look, I can see what he's saying, but it's not that bad. It's a bunt. Like, it's not that bad. Now, if we up 20-0 and we still trying to, we out there stealing base to pat, I get that part, because look, there is policing in every sport, people. I don't care.
Like, that's the thing baseball catches a lot of crap for, where it's like, oh, it's the unwritten rules. It's killing baseball. You're the no fun police. And I'm saying, I've told people this, like, you don't think there's unwritten rules in football and basketball? Of course there are. And if you even said this, like, there are certain things that players know on the field. And you have said this to us, Ben, on the air and off the air, that certain things, if we do this, somebody's going to catch it. And it may not be like when Terrell Owens goes and stands on the star. Yeah. Somebody's going to pay for that. And it may not be Terrell Owens.
Yes.
So, I mean,
no. Your teammate, look, we family members out there. Like, this is you make a really, really good point when you say that. Just say it's the end of the game. You got everybody know you got the kneel down. You got the victory, right? Usually, the team kneels down and tell the other guy, look, man, we just calm down. Now, I'm just telling him that I can't make him calm down, right? But he knows this. All right, you wanna haul off on me? Cool. If I know somebody on the other, hey man, listen, man, if you could, because listen, I'm gonna just tell you how this because it has to be there. It has to be. We control the game as players. We control the game, but we control how the game looks. When it comes to certain things, it shouldn't even be allowed. I'd be like, hold on. Like, now, I take it this farther too. I got to be willing to police my own teammates if they do something stupid. I got him. Because I don't want that to be like, hey, bro, what you do? Like, what are you doing? And yeah, Kevin, that's what makes the game fun is, I don't care how good you are not bigger than the game. Somebody got to show you, hey, man. Like, people say, why don't Ronald Acuna Jr. get taken out of the game for not running the bases? Because, bro, he's a superstar. You don't, come on. Now that's Snit doing it. That's not, a teammate of Bryce Harper, like, coming at him. That's a little bit different. But yeah, Kevin, I let me tell you something. Unwritten rules should never, ever go away, though. Like, when people say, hey, man, what keeps the game I fell in love with, because the young guys got taught by an older guy how to play the game. And no matter what, you remember it. So if you do something stupid, it's finna get a little tight. They finna test out them ribs a little bit. And right, wrong, and different. Unless it's banned from baseball, don't get mad. Everybody gets thrown at. And I saw somebody call out Gabe Kapler, say, well, Gabe, if there's not a problem with what he's doing, and people have played the game a long time, and again, I'm a proponent of play the game, right? As long as you are playing the game, I don't necessarily get too upset about stuff. Now, if you're out there stealing bases and you're up 20 in a major league game where, like, we're all professionals, that you're not coming back, okay, that might be in a little poor taste, but still play the game. Now, but if there was nothing wrong with it, why is there video of Gabe Kapler talking to his player when he comes back to the dugout? Kind of like, hey, man, maybe don't do that next time. Yeah, okay. That's the kind of stuff that I like. Hey, that's an unwritten rule. You're out here saying, well, if we want to bunt, we're going to bunt, and then you're telling him in the dugout, like, hey, maybe don't do that. He got it. I mean, well, think about this too, Kevin. If you're the manager, right, you got to satisfy both things. Like, you get, all right, here, I'm gonna get the question. Look, if we're gonna bunt, we're gonna bunt. But he forgot, hey, Gabe, yeah, we can see you talking to him. Like cameras are everywhere, because that's the world that we live in now too, right? When you think about trying to be able to do these things. But I get it. I was a young guy playing the game, and I got an older guy pulling me to the side saying, hey, young boy, that ain't what, we don't do that. And really, it don't matter how I feel. We don't. He's saying we don't, not just you, because you represent us, but hey, Gabe, be ready though. Y'all be ready, because everybody's gonna see that. Have you ever been in a situation where you had something happen and everybody in the huddle knew wherever this ball goes next, it's about to be interesting? Yes. Like whatever just happened, whoever catches this next ball, something weird, we're gonna pay for it. I mean, look, absolutely. Because sometimes, right? Listen. You hear 4-letter word. No, I'm sorry, 8-letter word. if some BS, you fill in the blanks. If you would like because Kevin, nonsense is nonsense. It don't matter who it's coming from. If I'm playing baseball and I'm doing nonsense stuff, it doesn't matter how many Cy Youngs you got, how many world. If you are a vet, I'm still trying to catch you. When I walk by, you hit me with the hey, you better cut that out because you did. Because bigger than disrespecting this game, you are disrespecting the game. So yeah, I get it, man. Because like I said, you're gonna have the people like BJ say, "Oh, that's why people." No, people can watch baseball. They're not gonna stop watching baseball, and you're doing it for the people that can never do it. That's what you're really doing. Not for the people that can play, but the people that always loved it, can't play it, and saying, "Come on, man, somebody speak up for us."
We got more to come here. It's 3 and out. Hawks with a win last night. They got it together in a big way, and they're moving on to Cleveland on Friday. We'll hit that next all across the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Hawks are moving on. Do I say they're moving on to the playoffs, Ben?
Yes, because they are.
Are they?
They're moving on to the play-in. So
The play-in game number 2.
Yes. I mean, okay, because what is Charlotte doing? Oh,
I get it.
They're going home.
That's like, I feel like they're playing, The Price is Right. Bob Barker, hey, you got through door number 1, but wait, we got door number 2 still to come. And then you'll be able to win your prize. No, last night I was skeptical because, one game, NBA play-in game, like anything could happen. And the Hawks came out and just annihilated the Charlotte Hornets, 132-103, 29-point win, pretty much up 30 points most of the second half. Clint Capella, a double-double, 15 of 14. Trae Young, 24 and 11. To me, that's impressive because you start talking about playoff spin and guys have to score. And for your superstar to drop 24 and 11 assists, pretty big. And DeAndre Hunter, 22 points, 7 boards for the Hawks last night. They get Cleveland on Friday. If they get by that, they're done with the play-in stuff, but they get Chicago in the first round of the NBA playoffs.
Extremely, extremely impressed with the Hawks last night. I think sometimes, Kevin, you get to show your experience. The Hornets last night, they have a lot of athleticism, no experience. The Hornets also have, guys like LaMelo Ball that can go out and distribute, no experience. Trigger Trade, the one thing that's not talked about him enough is his ability to help create opportunities for his teammates. You expect Trey, 24 and 11 assists, affecting the game. You talking about DeAndre Hunter, 22 points. Clint Capella, 15 points, 15 and 14 is no slouch, people. 15 and 14? Come on, man. That sounds like Dwight Howard back in the day when he was with the Magic. I think that what Atlanta did last night, they controlled the tempo from the opening tip. They did not give the Hornets any life at all, and I think that gives you. We kept saying this, Kevin. Can this Hawks team kind of like foster some of that mojo they had last year in the playoffs? And I know they still got one more team to do it with. I know it because they don't win against Cleveland as much to do about nothing, but they handle business and they handle it in a big way. 132 points, that's getting it done. But holding your opponent to 103, that's really getting it done. So I give Coach McMillan, I give Trigger Trey, I give DeAndre, I give Clint Capella, I give the entire Hawks team, an A+. Because Kevin, let's look at the flip side. If it's 132 in favor of Charlotte, are we saying to ourselves, dude, what's wrong with the Hawks? Let me say this: it's never the quote same Hawks team. It's not. Still got Trey. You got rid of Cam Reddish halfway during the season. You still ain't really missed the beat. So yes, they've earned the right to play one more game, Kevin, to potentially be an official playoff team. But for one night, they put it all together on both ends of the floor.
And now they get Cleveland in a one-and-done situation. And I know I've heard some people say, hey, if the Hawks can get hot, they're not a team that anybody really wants to play. Do you feel that's the case? Again, because I feel like late in the season, they kind of got it together. But this is a team that I think was expected to do more than be a contender for a play-in game, and now a second play-in game to fight for the 8th seed in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, but Kevin, they show how dangerous they is. They usually play well. When you talk about Milwaukee, we talk about we talk about Miami. They tend to play those teams a lot better. And I think the thing about this team is it's about the youth, it's about the experience, but it's about the poise. Go out there, play loose, play poise, but play aggressive. And I don't think nobody, Kevin, I always say this, look, the people who have the most fun at anything, it was 100 tickets. We got number 99, we got the last 2 tickets, right? And we in. Now, we kept showing them now did they give us a little bit more scrutiny at the door? Yeah. Looking at our ticket, putting it on the x-ray machine. It's a real ticket. And we get in. Now, did we drink a little more than we should have? Probably. Were we a little louder than everybody else? Yes. But we're in the party. Because you know what you don't want to be? Outside, wondering, with your head on the door, listening. Man, it sounds like a lot of fun in there, man. Then, and Kevin, whoever you asked went to the party, it only gets better. And oh my God, it was everybody in there. The Hawks are a team that is respected in the league. They are respected right now. Trae Young is the guy for Atlanta. He's the guy that makes everything go. He's the engine that makes everything go. And I think if they get in, Kevin, if you get in, doesn't matter if you're number 1 or number 8, you're in. Let's rock. Let's get it going. Because you know who's not in? That would be the Lakers. They're not in. And they had freaking Anthony Davis. They got Russell Westbrook. Dwight Howard. I know he still play basketball, but he ain't what he used to be. So yes, Kevin, I still think they got that dangerous moniker because no matter what, they lost to the world champs last year. They took them to the brink in the Eastern Conference Final. And I know it's a different year removed, but I just think that when you look at what this Hawks team is capable of doing, yeah, it is against the Hornets, but you're only as good as your last performance and your next performance. Well, their last performance is very, very impressive. Got to get it done against Cleveland. I still think they got that. I still think as long as Trae Young is healthy and he's making everybody around him better, and DeAndre Hunter playing the way he's playing, and Clint Capella is giving you, double doubles, I think you got a shot to be really, really good if you can indeed get in.
Then how do they match up with Chicago there, number one, if they can win on Friday night?
I think the Chicago poses. I think Levine and those guys are definitely going to be tough. Sexton and those guys. I think it's going to be really, really tough for an Atlanta Hawks team. But I think what happens is, Kevin, you every year, right? You're fighting for to stay relevant. You're fighting to make sure that people understand that you're not a flash in the pan. But again, Atlanta, you fight for something different. Everybody around you is winning. We're not the freaking Falcons, but you talking about the Bulldogs, right? You talk about the Braves. You talk about Trae coming out and saying, all I really want is a championship. Kevin, now we talk about some monumental things. And I know we got a long way to go. LeBron won in Cleveland. I saw the Chicago Cubs win a World Series. I saw Bill Murray in the freaking stands with everybody else. Hawks win a freaking championship. You talking about a team that up until last year didn't have a lot of Eastern Conference Finals, wasn't a lot to go off of. Like they no history there. So I think that Trae is writing his own history every single time he steps on the floor. I think he's playing for legacy every time he steps out there. But yeah, Kevin, I think this Chicago team, they ain't gonna go, because now the NBA is better when you got teams on the East Coast, Middle America, as well as the West Coast is good. I think Chicago's meeting that bill. But now Chicago is trying to do in 2022 what the Hawks did in 2021.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't respect the Hawks. Also, you kind of rolled your eyes at it, but it's true.
Some do, but you know how, Kevin, this is the thing. The thing about the Hawks run into the same thing the Falcons run into when you talk about defense, right? They're going to always think it has more to do with anything but them. The Hawks, yeah. Trae Young. What you mean? Because now I will say this. Now it ain't look. Levine and those guys. I'm sorry, they can't live off what Mike and them did. That was the 90s. Those boys was just coming out the womb in the 90s. So I do think though, when you got a team like the Hawks, no matter what, listen, there is a one tight end that played for Jacksonville, who we had on the show talking about his Dodgers and my Braves. Hasn't been on since, right? What makes the Braves good is I got to beat the Dodgers. Forget what we do. We got to beat them. So we don't look down the road, but we know no matter what, there is that giant. If you are the Hawks, you got two giants. You got yourself and you got the freaking Bucks. Can you overcome you to beat them? And if you can do both, you got a shot. And then whoever you meet in the West, may God help you, because I think it's probably gonna be Phoenix. But I just think that for me, yes, Kevin, I think they got respect, but that's my bias of being a Hawks fan. We'll see though.
I think nationally they probably don't get a whole lot, just because it's the Hawks. It's no other way to say it. People like Trae Young, but I don't think they respect the franchise as a whole, and kind of view last year's maybe a fluke situation. We got more to come here. It's 3 and Out all across the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. I just love the zest at which Coach Spurrier says my name there. And Kevin.
Hey, listen, y'all homies. That's all that is.
Yeah, if he saw me at the golf course, he'd be like, "Here, hold my bag."
No. He'll say, Kevin. He said, Kevin, you gonna tee off with us? All right, well, let's go out there and do it. Let's do it, Coach.
How much yardage from the tee box? That's what are you forecasting?
Look, at the end of the day,
well, maybe.
What makes Steve Spurrier the man is not everything he's done. He gets paid to be himself. They call him, quote, an ambassador. An ambassador to what? He get his own office.
Gator Nation.
And no, they said when he first got, rehired as an ambassador, they gave him his schedule. And he said, "What are you doing, Coach? Not doing this. Everything I mark off, I'm not doing this. This is the whole page, Coach, because I'm not doing it. Come on, give me something else." Now he has, listen, shout out to Coach Spurrier, a brand that continues to thrive.
Yeah, what are you an ambassador of? Spurrier Nation.
And I got a new restaurant in Gainesville. Make sure you come out and.
Really? Does he really?
Yeah.
What's it called? The Old Ball Coach?
No, it's called Spurrier's.
Is it really?
Yeah. He got a bunch of old plays like up on the wall and stuff. It's like it got like 3 levels to it. Got like, you know how now everything now with the bars, you got the rooftop,
right?
Oh, they say the food is good. They say the food is not cheap, but they say if you get there on the right night, Coach Spurrier kind of be doing what Sylvester Stallone did on The Last Balboa. Like he could be walking in giving old stories or whatever. Hey man, Spurrier say, "Look man, let's try this restaurant business. I done did everything else."
Well, I'm sure. A restaurant called Spurrier's in Gainesville might be like the safest bet ever, right? I mean,
well, yeah. They got the spot. Like if you coming down, if you ever been to Gainesville, it was a spot over off of 75 to the right. There was what is called nothing over there. Like when I was there, there was nothing there. Like nothing. Now you got movie theaters. You got hotels, housing. You got like a lot. There's a nice little area in Spurrier's, right? You can't miss it. Big old lights. But they say it's nice, man. Haven't had a chance to get down there and really go, man. But they say it's nice.
Well, give us if you do, we'll take a food review.
Oh, of course.
Spurrier's.
I'm be like, when the tab come, I'm like, Coach Spurrier told me my money is no good here. What you talking about?
I remember back when I was being recruited, he said, "Ben, don't even worry about it." Is that still good or no?
Look, I will say this, man. Coach Spurrier is one of those guys, Kevin. He's the biggest thing in Gville. No matter what happens, man, certain guys got it. He definitely got it. He's getting paid to be himself. What are you going to call it? Call him an ambassador. That means he got to go places, wear Florida stuff, and talk about the current team.
He didn't have to do an NIL deal for anybody. He's like, "Hey, I'm Steve Spurrier. Come eat at my restaurant."
Oh yeah. I mean, Coach Napier I'm gonna have a team over there. Yeah, and
y'all all paying full price.
Y'all paying full price for all of it.
Hey, we got the whole Gator team in here. No. There is no discount.
Yeah, I'm sorry. If you read on the menu, new head coaches got to pay full price. It's at the bottom. It just got written in. It got written in.
Yeah, it's along with everybody else up in here. No, always enjoy when we get the chance to talk with Coach Spurrier. But we got the RBC Heritage going on Hilton Head week after the Masters, of course, a tradition. Cameron Young, your leader in the clubhouse, -8. He leads by 3 over a host of guys. Mito Pereira. I never heard of Mito. But obviously, he's pretty good at golf. He's at 5 under. Graham McDowell, Patrick Cantlay, and a host of others there at 5 under on your leaderboard. All 3 shots behind Cameron Young. They're the week after the Masters, and a great spot to go after Augusta. You go hang out on Hilton Head and play a little golf. So,
Kevin, at the end of the day, man, these what makes these golfers so impressive is no matter what, right after the Masters, they trying to get back in it. When you talk about the Classic, I think that that's why I never play golf, man. I mean, I'm looking for any time off I can get, but look, when you are a golfer, you play every single day, hone those skills.
Got to, man. They're coming for you.
Well, I mean,
those young bucks are coming for you.
Look, at the end of the day, Tiger. It wasn't a Tiger sighting, was it? Because had it been, it would have been hysteria, no matter what. But no, I mean, they found a way to get it in, and it just shows that. Listen, what makes the greats is consistency. They're trying to keep it consistent.
I can only imagine what it was like last week with Christian Gokel and Tiger Woods playing well in round 1. I just have to look at Twitter. It's just a picture of a tiger. I'm like, oh,
there's certain goals I have in life. BJ, meet Deion Sanders. Kevin's just at the game, at the ballpark, and then Ron LaCoon I'm sorry, Ron LaCoon. And you just got to act like, I'm sorry, my bad. Since we here, you want me to sign something? I just got this book of cards, if you can sign them all. And then Kevin,
and Bird Jackson.
And with Christian, man, listen, if I can get him practice rounds tickets to the Masters, because certain things are just worth it. I had practice round tickets one time that we auctioned off, and Kevin, the radio station quote told me, we've never had the phone lines like this. I said, well, I mean, the Jets Masters ticket. Next thing, what? People going crazy for these things, man. People lost.
Yeah, people love the Masters. No, I'll put that in my. You could have me meet what was the name of that cartoon? The Pro Stars. You give me Jordan, Bo Jackson, and Wayne Gretzky all in one room. I mean, I would just I think I would just pass out right there. Remember that? You remember that cartoon?
Oh, that's right. There. Bo Jackson. Listen,
Bo, Wayne, and Mike running around saving the world with their athletic skill.
I mean, when people ask, man, what do you got? I have my own shoe. Well, and I have my own cartoon. I deal with it.
Yeah. Deion Sanders went on that show.
He was not.
Saying, BJ. Bo Jackson's on that show. Michael Jordan was on that show.
Bo Jackson won. Deion, no. 0.
Maybe that's just going to be my standard comeback for anything BJ says. Was he on Pro Stars? No, he was not. The end. Did he ever save the world using his skills? No, he did not. Bo did, because Bo knows how to be a superhero. We're coming right back. Final hour. It's 3 and out. All across the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Hit us up on Twitter at Pigskin Radio. Streaming live, ESPNCoastal.com. Good to have you back. Final hour of 3 and Out. Kevin Thomas, Ben Troop, glad you're making us a part of your day. We'll get to some spring games coming up this week. Florida's got theirs tonight. We'll talk about that coming up. Georgia, Bama, a whole host of teams with their spring games coming up this weekend. Also, Nick Saban has weighed in on NIL, but is it Nick Saban complaining, or is it Nick Saban saying, listen, that's what I'm trying to tell you? We'll debate that coming up in just a little bit. But ESPN's Football Power Index, Ben, puts out its projected top 10. Again, this is a computer formula. I know the folks at ESPN, when they get backlash, are always quick to point out this is the Football Power Index. This is not Kirk Herbstreit's thoughts. This is not, Marty Smith voting. We put it in the computer, and this is what it spits out. All right? And the computer, with all its computing power, with all of its data, with all the numbers you can put in there, came up with Alabama, Ohio State, Georgia, and Clemson as the top 4. At the end of the day, Notre Dame, Texas, Michigan 7, Oklahoma, Pitt at 9, and at number 10, maybe the surprise of the whole list, Auburn.
So the Auburn list, it's definitely the computer's definitely malfunctioning. We know something's going on.
There's at least a glitch.
But
somewhere.
I will say this: when you got that Alabama, Ohio State, Georgia, and Clemson, pedigree the last 5 years, 6 years, of course, surprise, surprise, they're going to be at the top of the hill. Notre Dame has that brand equity, and because they've been, a big-time contender as of late, they're going to be in there. Texas, maybe Texas got something brewing that I don't know about. I mean, the preseason rankings, it spit it out. Michigan's coming off a banner year. We'll see if they can go 2 for 2 with beating their arch nemesis, Ohio State. Oklahoma, Coach Venables, and I think that when you look at what they bring to the table, I get that part. Pitt, we'll see what happens. No Kenny Pickett. I think we'll see what happens as far as who they're going to replace him with. Auburn is a head scratcher. I mean, it just is. I'm not saying that Coach Harsin don't got something we don't know. No, they got a running game. No, they got an offensive line. But you down 2 coordinators. 2 coordinators last year, both gone. Boom, both out the door. You added 2 new coordinators. No Bo Nix. So we will see. But Kevin, whether it's you talking about football index, you talking about preseason rankings, these computers, this technology, it said, look, put it in there. Who came out first? Alabama. Man, how many times? Man, every time we put it in,
I could have done that.
You know what I'm saying? Who's that? Ohio State. Okay, who? Georgia, Clemson. Man, you mean to tell me nobody else? No, and we've done it. We sat here all night. We had listen. We had the repair service of Thomas the Troop coming here, and they were slapping the hell out of this computer. Bam, bam, boom, and it still did it. So we did the old school way, we did the new school way. But hey, man, surprise, surprise, Alabama's number 1, Ohio State, followed by Georgia and Clemson. Those are the best brands right now. And I don't know on this list, Notre Dame is the biggest brand. Michigan might be a bigger brand right behind Notre Dame, but the best brands of football, it's going to be Alabama, Ohio State, Georgia, Clemson, whether it's a football index, whether it's a preseason ranking, whether it's technology, whether it's computers. Kevin, that's how it's going to look.
Basically, what Ben is saying, it doesn't matter if the computer puts it in, it's going to come out the same.
I mean, no matter, listen, you can program in a computer, do not put Alabama first. Boom, put it out anyway. I'm sorry, dude. I'm going off recruiting. The 2 best players in the country both play for Alabama. They both on offense and defense. So what? One of them being a Heisman Trophy winning Bryce Young. So what do you want? Nick Saban. Sorry, Nick Saban Jr. I don't know if he's real or if he coaches. He ain't showed his face yet. I just think that Ohio State Coach Day, I just think that what Kirby Smart is coming off the national championship, and people think Clemson trash because they won 10 games, and they're going to be whooping up on everybody in 2022. But yes, Kevin, different year, same result. It's lonely at the top, and there's only 4 of them up there. They just happen to be in Clemson, Athens, Columbus, and Tuscaloosa.
And again, Auburn at 10. Kind of threw everybody again, because maybe you were sitting there going, okay, maybe Texas A&M could be up in there.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people talking right now, could Auburn be picked 7th or 6th in the West preseason? This computer has them 10.
Did Auburn look at this? And go, what are they doing?
Maybe they hacked the computers and got them in.
I mean, where's Texas A&M? The number 1 recruiting class in the country. I mean, they ain't even in the top 10. Look, I mean, Brian Kelly, listen, maybe the computer saw you dancing. They're not putting you nowhere.
But that's negative points. And he also got negative points for the accent.
I'm about to say, first start over there. No. First, It started with accent. Then it started number 2 with people from Boston don't got accents. What are you?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
I'm from Boston. We don't have strong accents. What?
You've been in Notre Dame too long. Yeah, you've been in Indiana too long. I get it. You trying to appeal to their fan base. Then you try to dance. The recruit that he was dancing with didn't go to LSU. Surprise, surprise, not going here. So, hey, look, I got a chance to talk to Larry. We interviewed Larry Fedora not too many weeks ago, and obviously he's a new head coach in the USFL. I think he's the New Orleans team.
And start this week.
Yeah, you talk about Brian. He said, man, somebody need to teach you some dance moves or leave the dancing alone. Because I don't know what that is.
That's probably who's out there looking like the Tin Man.
Look,
like knees not moving.
I said, man, you need to get an NIL deal with WD-40, put it behind the knees. Something, man. My goodness. It just was bad all around. Hold on. And Kevin, even to that, if you're a head coach right now, Kevin Thomas, head coach at Team X, are you in a position to say no? Like, dude, I don't want it to come on, man. And he said,
it is so ridiculous. Because I would be like, I'm not doing that. But this is the number 1 recruit in the country. I don't care.
Hit it.
Yeah, no, yeah. Dun, dun, dun. Hey, like I saw a picture today of the tackle that transferred from Georgia, Mims. He's on an official visit at Florida State, and the first thing happens is you see Coach Norvell walking out. Is like gives him one like the biggest like. Come from behind his back.
What's up?
That's like jumping up, and I'm like, man, like just say, hey, we're glad to have you here, man. We think you can help us win games. No. But it's got to be like they did everything but have like confetti cannons going off.
Coach Norvell, listen, the last play he got from Georgia, Jermaine Johnson. AC defensive player of the year. And I've heard, this is just from rumblings out of Tallahassee. They say that this year's offensive line is worse than last year's.
Are you just saying that as a Florida guy?
No. I'm just saying. Listen. I read different reports coming out, and I see what they. But I'm just saying, Mims. He probably saying, "Listen, that's when the camera's on. When you turn the cameras off. Yeah, please, man, you gonna come or what? Don't leave. You got your dorm.
When the cameras start rolling, he's down on both knees, going, please come here,
please. But hey, but Kevin, look, what can I say? When your livelihood is from. Is pinned on the lives and the production of 18 to 22-year-olds.
Yeah.
If all you got to do is dance. But I will say this: the worst dancer that I've ever seen might be. I used to say it was Dan Mullen. Dabo Swinney cannot dance, and he won't stop doing it. And all that. Oh no! Just because they air for you, they try to get you. All I'm saying is. That's when you know the culture of college football has changed. From the music to the dancing, you got to cater to them. Brian Kelly, look, work on that accent because you're trying to get a Creole accent, by the way. That's Creole South. Number 2, just, take off. If you're going to do it, you out there looking like a golfer with the little vest on. It just wasn't a good look for Brian Kelly at all, man. Hopefully he can win some games.
See, that's the thing that would get me if I'm a coach. You're like, come on, man, just do this video. We'll put it up on the gram. The what? We're going to put it up on the gram. And what am I doing? We're going to put on a disco ball, and we're going to have you two like hip bumping in a video. I'm going to do what? And then he's still not coming here? I look like an idiot. Like,
you know what you didn't see? That would be Billy Napier. You go back to the video when he first got hired. He's on campus. I mean, they did the welcome wagon and all these different things. They go in and they saying, hey, Billy, man, what you want? He said, please just take the picture. But just take it. Yeah. Listen, I'm not trying to be a party pooper. I get it. Take the picture of me holding the helmet, get some shots, and I'm out of here. Like, listen, now, that's year 1.
Yeah.
Year 2, he might be, who knows?
Year 2, he's going to be behind the turntables.
Listen, all I'm saying is Dan Mullen went from Hayes to wearing Darth Vader outfits and all. Listen, we never know. People.
I mean, the stuff that, I will say this, like, I get it. It's the lifeblood of the sport. But, like, the things that people will do for recruits, like, I thought the lowest point was probably, Harbaugh going and having to spend the night party at somebody. Like, come on, man. Like, hey, you want to come play at Michigan? I don't know, Coach. I'm thinking about it. Well, how about this? I'll get a sleeping bag, and we can come and watch Netflix in your room and eat popcorn. What? No, we're not doing that.
He's like this. And then when the camera's off, he's like this. Listen, no pictures tonight. I'm going to go over to this.
I'm going to the Holiday Inn. I'm not sleeping on the floor.
They left the light on for me. I'm going to go over there. No. But Kevin, that's what
you get into helicopters and all that kind of stuff. It's like
the helicopter thing is cool. I remember when this is when Jumpman was first, Jordan was first coming to college, and then obviously they're going to go to UNC. That's when Coach Larry Fedora was there. He was telling, and I went to go speak, and he said, man, Ben, they got these Jordans in here, man. I'm not going to be doing these commercials. About a month later, hey, man, come on up here to UNC, and you get your man. Hey, whatever sells, man. He said it. I ain't doing that crap. I said, next thing you know, come on up here to UNC, man, get your pair of these Jordan 1s.
Who's the first coach to parachute out of the helicopter and just come sailing in? Hey!
Well, in a sense, right? That's what you do, though. Someone does it. Hopefully it's Nick. And then Nick say, I ain't gonna fall now. I said, well, I don't know now. Your knees might give out. You better have a but I just think the two, Kevin, how crazy can it get? Coaches up in the tree houses or wherever it was to dance on the videos. Hey man, whatever it takes.
I think the next iteration on signing day is going to be we have the gender reveal balloons and stuff like that. We're going to have hey, here's my college shirt. Throw me the baseball. I'm going to pop it, and if orange smoke comes out, that means I'm going to Tennessee. Like what? Don't think it will happen.
Kevin with the gender reveal college edition.
Yeah, it's going to be the college shirt. The hat's not enough. I have to have a mystery egg that's going to explode.
Make sure you listen, young men, make sure that the gender reveal is really for the college and not for a real gender reveal.
Wait a minute. I didn't go anywhere, Pink.
No, I'm having your mama didn't even lie. Man, I'm sorry. Golly.
Whoops. I grabbed the wrong one.
Ain't no school got pink in it. No. That's pink and blue.
Congratulations.
Twins.
Congratulations.
Well, you need to go to Georgia Tech. You need a good job when you get out of here.
Congratulations on both accounts. We got more to come. It's 3 now. We got spring games coming up tonight and this weekend. Nick Saban weighing in on NIL aboard. It's 3 out of the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Great to be here with you on this Thursday. Kevin Thomas, Ben Troop, glad you are with us. Spring games tonight, or spring game tonight, Florida. And have their spring game. Georgia, Alabama, seemingly like half the SEC having their spring game coming up on Saturday. Obviously, everybody's got questions. Everybody's got holes to fill. But, Ben, you've talked about spring a lot. Fans overreact. I think it's kind of the interesting double-edged sword where it's like, our defense stinks. Yeah, but our offense was really good. Or our offense couldn't score. But our defense looked pretty good. Kind of that double-edged sword. But what are you looking to get out of spring? And does spring have any, for the players anyway, any carryover to fall at all?
Oh, it does. I mean, you kind of seeing how far you've come a year prior. You're seeing what your role is going to be on the team. You see it.
You all right?
Man, that's why I can't stand the spring. I apologize. No, it's what it did for me, I can say. You don't know how much better you've gotten. And for me, you taking football a lot more serious, Kevin, because look, you got to deal with recruiting. You got to deal with the current crop of players already on the team. You got to deal with the new guys coming in, and you got to build trust. Like, spring is where you build trust. My first 3 years, I was talented. I had some gifts. I had some tools. I was raw. I was not ready because it's like, Kevin, it's like a great baseball player that doesn't have any poise at the plate. Like, dude, if you can connect if you can make contact, you nice, but you got to see the pitches. You got to see, on the movie 42, when the guy's telling Jackie Robinson, you know how they say you want to see that, you want to see the pitches coming at you real, you want to see the ball coming at you real slow. Like, you want the game to slow down. Because by the time I became a senior, man, I just understood. I started understanding the way the coaches understand. Like, they're not just giving me plays. I was understanding concepts. I said, when my coach used to say, you got to be able to direct traffic out there. Sometimes the players may come out the huddle and they might be in the wrong spot. I'm getting guys in place because I'm taking more ownership. Because I think the one thing that people don't get to understand is most people that go to college never play. That's every sport. The average player that go to college on scholarship never plays. It's got to be something about you. That's why you go, guys that try. Kenny Pickett was at Pitt, 4, 5, 6 years? Because he wanted to play. So for me, it's where you earn trust. It's where you earn the trust of you got to earn the respect of you don't earn the trust of your teammates, you earn the respect of your teammates. And the more a coach trusts you, the more responsibility he gives you. So if you're in the spring, you can tell if you're one of the guys or just a guy. And that's right, wrong, and different. That's just how it is. Because, Kevin, you know how it is. All these players on the team and the starter goes down and the backup comes in, you see how big of a difference it is. You go, dude, because that's the talent gap. The talent gap is what you got up here and what you got above the neck and what translates below the neck. And I think for most players, it never, ever stopped. Listen, I was always overwhelmed when I was in college. I ain't gonna lie, man. There's a lot coming at you, especially when I was in Spurrier. Then I get who the hell are you runs up, and he looking at me like, who the hell are you? Who the hell are you? I don't even know who the hell. But I think that the more I understood what my role was, okay, what do I mean to this offense? Okay, what do I mean to this team? Okay, what do I mean to my teammates? It just goes and goes and goes. The next thing you know, you get out there on the field. I used to have teammates ask me, Ben, do you get tired? I'm like, yes. They're like, you do? Like, yeah. Now, I get tired. I am tired physically, mentally, no. Because I know this, as soon as I take a play off, it's going to trickle down. And it took me 3 years to understand. It took me 3 years to understand the concept that spring, listen, I'm going to say this, and I don't care, spring sucks bad. But that's kind of where the coaches don't got to talk to the players no more about who's the best players anymore. You can see it every day. Look at how consistent this player is. Look at how, dialed in this player is. Look at how bought in this player is. Most players, they're talented, but they ain't bought in. They talented, but they ain't sold on what the coaches that's why they don't play. So if you go to a team and you say, dude, this kid is nice. Yeah, but go watch practice. Once again, if I drop every pass during the week, what are they going to throw it to me? I'm not getting it on Saturday. Forget that. So now, but I will say this is the greatest day of the spring. Why? Spring game, because there's no more spring. Woo! Because spring can't come. Because now, Kevin, nowadays, it's so much more fanfare, though. We watch everything. Oh, there go the warm-ups. Oh, there go this, there go that, because we want to kind of get a glimpse of. But, I will say, though, spring is needed, man. It is needed. Everybody's kind of antsy. kind of put the last season behind you. That's really the last bit of 2021. Hopefully, because 2022, you talking about the fall, whatever your role was in the spring, what you think? So I'm third string in the spring, but I'm first in the fall. No, man, you kind of trying to see like who has niches for themselves, and hopefully guys will go out there. But you count healthy bodies. You want to try to come out as healthy as possible.
Of course, I just look at a place, like Georgia, where you're going through spring. You've had some guys transfer. Maybe there'll be guys transferring after spring, but you've also gone through spring with a couple of guys that aren't practicing.
Yeah,
that just simply aren't going to do it. And how much of that do you look at and say, okay, it could be a different thing come fall when this guy comes back? I know coaches are counting on that kind of thing, but to me, you look at spring and certain guys don't participate because of injury. They come back and you know what they're going to do. Like, obviously Brock Bowers, everybody knows what he's going to do. How does that change the dynamic of what you saw in spring versus the fall? And none, or just that guy wasn't out there. It's fine.
No, you are showing that if I'm going to be in a limited role, I could be trusted in that limited role. If I'm Darnell Washington and I'm Brock Bowers, I know they'll you starter one, starter two at the Y and the U position. If I'm quote, tight end number 3 or number 4, all right. If those guys go down, I'm giving the coaches the trust to know we don't got to dumb it down in my position, because they don't dumb down the offense. They'll dumb down your role in the offense. You don't want that. I want everything this offense has. I don't want he's in. Let me tell y'all something. I want the coaches to say, we can run everything we got. Because if you're limited, you hurt the whole offense. And I want them to look at me as a guy to say, hey, man, let's work some plays in for this young dude this year. Like, let's see what this guy can do. Because no matter what, I was available. And you cannot put a price tag on availability and health when you talk about sports. So yeah, like, you gotta listen. It's about finding a niche for yourself, man. Everybody's not gonna be a star, but Kevin, it's almost like, look, Ian Anderson, you got called up early because of the pitching staff. Well, look at where you are now. Now you're an everyday starter. You're a starter for this Braves franchise who helped us win a World Series. It's about being ready, man. And I know it's all about the quarterback in the backup. I get it, but dude, you are a play away.
Sure.
So you better say, so spring is where you be dialed in. And like I said, my first 3 years, man, it was a blur. Because you go from Spurrier, which I knew I wasn't going to catch the ball. He had all star receivers. You're not
like tight ends, right?
Well, he did, but you don't need us. I'm sorry. Like, you didn't need us. But I think that what Ron Zook showed me that is, he goes, look, man, prove it to me. Prove to me. Ron Zook told me going into my senior year, I will not answer one more question while we're not throwing you the ball. I get sick of that every single press conference. Now, mind you, I don't know when he's doing them. Social media wasn't even out then, but I earned that in practice. So what happens is, if you are, quote, the best player or at your position, you got to prove it that's what people don't get. That stuff is hard, man. You got to prove it in practice. I can't have a bad practice. Hey, Larry Fedora say the same thing at the end of practice. True, man, you going 2 minutes a day? I'm the only tight end go 2 minutes. Yeah, I'm going. Yeah. And listen, and Zook is only hearing me say, yeah, one time I said no. And boy, it got ugly out there on that field for me. I just think that spring is about learning to become a great teammate. Because I believe this stuff now, which you sound like a coach, but man, you become a great teammate, you got a chance of becoming a great player. Because I'm not worrying about the individual stuff. Players that worry about the individual stuff, you can see it.
Yeah.
Players that say, look, bro, I want to help. Because, look, if I'm a great teammate, man, they're going to give me opportunities to go out there and make plays. But, man, listen, my senior year, and I don't know why I used to do this, man. My senior year, we lost 5 games. I used to cry after the game. I'm not trying to cry. Kevin, it was the weirdest. I'm in the locker room, but in a sense, that's how much football had become to me at that point. But, hey, man, the very first day of spring, my senior year, they split up the teams because guys had different schedules. They throw me like a little deep seam. I'm running down the field, and I got to run all the way back because I ain't got no sub. I said, Coach, when do we bring the teams back together, please? Because I ain't gonna make it out here. And you got the fans out there clapping and all this. But hey, man, it goes by fast. I miss it. I don't miss the games itself, but I just miss the grind of it.
Sure.
But no, the spring is where you develop that trust. And like I said,
as a quote fan now, as you look at it, how much are you taking? I don't know. What are you taking from what happens tonight in Gainesville? First year head coach, new system, new way of doing things. I mean, do you care what happens one way or another? Is that a reflection on what's happened the previous 18 practices versus what happens tonight? I mean, what's your takeaway there?
I care about what this offense is going to look like because Billy Napier is known as the guy that's going to run the football. I care about if Anthony Richardson is going to take that next step. He's going to be the guy. He's going to be the guy.
Yeah, but can you see that in the spring game?
You can't. I will say this: whoever the celebrity Florida Gator is, are they going to let him actually complete the pack? Me and BJ went to Coach Collins when his debut, and it was freaking, Calvin Johnson was finna, get a nice pass thrown to him. No, they was like, no, we're not with it. I mean, they out here playing Coach Joe Ham, get it, and they throw it to Joe Ham, and the freaking DB was like, no. I'm like, dude, this is what goes on. Calvin Johnson in this. I'm like, what is this? But I am just looking to see, look, what type of scheme we're gonna run on defense, what type of offense we're gonna run. It's gonna be vanilla. You know how it is, Kevin. They ain't gonna really show it. But I'm just trying to see, man, who's gonna be healthy, man. Florida had a tight end that had a career-ending injury, so he can never play football again. They got another tight end that's out for the spring, so that tight end room is depleted. You're gonna have to go to the transfer portal, and hey, man, I'm looking to see, man, who's trying to make a flash play. I mean, I know you're going up against each other. You finally get to go out there and do it for real. Who can go? Because my senior year, man, like I said, the quarterbacks was off limits until Darrell Lee, the homie, got blindsided by Ray Snell. I mean, he got blind, and after that, they was hitting them quarterbacks so hard. I was like, oh, but I had to take Chris Lick and them boys out. But I'm just looking for them boys to go out there and kind of show a little glimpse of how the fall gonna look a little bit.
Yeah, we've got more to come here on 3 and Out. Maybe we getting a glimpse of what college football looks like. Nick Saban weighing in, NIL. Is he right? Is he complaining? Where is it? We'll get Ben's thoughts on that when we return. It's 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Good to have you back here, 3 and Out on this Thursday. Well, Nick Saban has weighed in on name, image, and likeness, saying, hey, the current model of college football is not sustainable. Now, Dabo Swinney caught a lot of grief for basically saying the same thing. Like, is this what we want it to be? And people said, shut up, Dabo. Every time he says something, people really get mad. Then Nick Saban says it, and it's either, oh, Nick's complaining. You're making $8-9 million a year. Nick, what are you complaining? But he said, quote, Ben, the concept of name, image, likeness was for players to be able to use their name, image, and likeness to create opportunities for themselves. That's what it was. So last year on our team, our guys probably made as much or more than anybody in the country. Okay, there's a little recruiting pitch going on there from Nick Saban as well. But I think he also goes on further in that interview and said, we have to decide if this is what we want college football to be. Is it just unfettered name, image, likeness? Are we allowing boosters to get involved with name, image, likeness deals? Are we just handing out money? And he said, went further and said, look, I don't want to create a caste system on my own team where my quarterback's getting $1 million, my running back's getting $10,000, and my third string guys are getting $100. And people are starting to get, kind of jealous. He's like, I think if we want to do it, let them make deals and everybody on the team gets it. Everybody on the team gets the same thing. We have a contract. Contract says, hey, this is what you're going to get, and move on. Not, well, I can get more from over here. I think coaches and BJ's, and this, Ben, it is about somewhat control, because coaches are saying, look, I want to know what my roster looks like. I don't want to have half my team leave because some guy's offering $1,000 more, right? Yeah, it's not free agency necessarily like the NFL, and even under free agency, guys are under contract. It's not like half your team can voluntarily up and leave in the NFL. So I think Nick's got some nice things to say. Obviously, coaches are figuring out a way to deal with it, but I think he went further to say, when people get mad, it's like, look, we're going to win. Like, if it comes a money race, we're going to win. Like, you want college football to be balanced. The teams that spend the most money will win. And guess what? Alabama's got pretty deep pockets. The end. And I think that's one of those things where people say, well, why is Nick hating on it? I don't think he is. I think Nick is simply saying, the way it's going, if you want a competitive college football, you're going to have to figure something out. Because if you want fairness across the board, where we're going is not going to work. Because me, Georgia, Texas A&M, Texas, Ohio State, we're going to win. Why? Because we can pay whatever it takes and call it name, image, likeness, right? And so I think he has some good ideas out there as well. And we talked about this when the whole paying players thing came up bit from the get-go. Okay, starting quarterback get more than the third-string quarterback. Offensive linemen get more than the backups. Do safeties get more than D linemen? Like, how does that work? If you're going to get into some of that stuff, and does that create animosity amongst guys who necessarily didn't sign contracts? They came to play, get education, do that sort of thing. Whereas in the NFL, if you start complaining about what you're paid versus somebody else, you can turn around to that person and say, well, I mean, you and your agent negotiated that deal, right? I mean, you're the ones that signed the paper. And so I think that's what he's talking about with college football. And I do think from the standpoint of, if you're going to turn it into an arms race, you're not going to have a lot of parity in college football because, again, there's only so many programs that can financially keep up and just pay whatever it costs for it, right? I mean, as you're seeing.
Yeah, is Nick Saban making a good point? Yes. When he's saying that I think they all should just sign a contract.
But he said he wasn't against players getting money.
Yeah,
he did say that.
I will say this. I think you make a good point, though, when he says every player should get a contract, every player should get something. I agree with that. I do wholeheartedly agree. But think about this, Kevin. This is the thing about Nick Saban. Nick Saban is the greatest coach, in college football. When Nick Saban is doing his contract, he's saying, look, man, I mean, I'm making good money, man. Make sure these are see it is a system that favors the elite. Nick Saban is saying what he's saying because he's one of the elite. Nick Saban can say these things because I was winning with and without naming him as likeness, right? But the thing is, you can only speak for you. See, Vanderbilt is in the SEC. They be like, look, man, what the hell y'all, like, what are y'all talking about? Because I think what happens is this. It's not as much animosity as you think. Because, Kevin, this is what I think NIL was. NIL is that reality check. Everybody thought that I was marketable. Everybody thought I was going to get the big dollars. Okay, well, now you out here. Now you can negotiate. Now you can get it. And it's not as easy as you think because you take the young man out of Texas that went to Ohio State, never played it down. Now he's going to Texas. Signed that big deal, skip the senior year of high school to go to Ohio State. Other companies are looking at that saying, wait a minute. So the market will decide for itself. The market going to decide.
I think that to me, that's the interesting debate because is the market going to decide? Because and when does that happen? Are we 3 or 4 years down the road before that happens? And my question was, how many deals are happening under the guise of name, image, likeness that aren't necessarily that? It's just simply a workaround to land recruit, kind of like what Jimbo is getting accused of. He said, look, no, we just recruited our butts off.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I mean, but you also have people coming out and go, hey, if you come here, you're going to get this. Offensive lineman, don't even know your name. You're going to get $50,000. Sight unseen. Like, is that marketing or is that a payoff?
You're right. Look, am I mad at Jimbo Fisher? No. Jimbo Fisher says, look, man, they are putting it out there. This is what they can do. The boosters like, did you hear him? We heard him. And look, and these protocols go into place. I am not with the name and image likeness platform and as far as like making sure these guys get money down there. Florida's called Gators Collective. And that's the name and image likeness platform in Florida. I do not know how much money these players get. I do not care how much money these players get. I am happy that they're getting it. But out of all the athletes at Florida, every last one of them is not with Gators Collective. But they'll come out and say this, Kevin. Boosters, alumni, people that want to donate for a cost of a cup of coffee, $6, you can be involved. Now, I get that part. But let's face it, all the cups of coffee in the world that's not gonna get it. But what Texas A&M did really is boosters, and they sent up a flare. Every other booster for every other school saying, oh, that's what it's gonna take? Yeah. So what Nick Saban is saying is, look, man, let me just go ahead and give y'all a warning. Y'all ain't gonna like the way we do it because we gonna still get them, right? And I'm like, but at the same time, I say, Nick, yeah, you can only get 25. No matter how many you want, you're only getting 25. Now, are we talking about preferred walk-ons now getting money? Because they can. I'm not taking no. So, Kevin, think about this.
But that was the idea of that anybody, when it was started, I was like, hey, we can't even go out and do X. Okay, that's perfectly fine. Hey, we can't go get a job. We can't I'm the starting quarterback at Team X. Let me go sign some autographs and get some scratch. Now it is sight unseen. You come here, we will do this. Yep. And again, I'm not saying I fault the players for doing it. I'm simply saying that the NCAA has done nothing to kind of even monitor what's going on.
No.
And so teams have said,
oh, no, the NCAA is doing it the right way. They're saying, all right, like, look,
but the whole thing has become kind of a joke because you've had, I would imagine Michigan, the Fab Five are probably looking at all this going on going, all we did was take shoes and stuff, allegedly. Maybe a little more, but I'm saying, but like, all we did was like clothes and a few. I'm like, now dudes are getting $1 million. And that young kid, as you said, the young kid, Ewers, went to Ohio State, got $1 million name, image, likeness deal, did not play, and is not even at Ohio State anymore. Nope. So that's the kind of stuff that I think makes an eyebrow go up a little bit and say, are we simply bringing what used to happen in the McDonald's bag, Jeremy Pruitt, and are we just taking it into the open?
Well, okay.
Like we don't care about the marketing. Here's your money. Come here.
There is a young man who lives in New Orleans. His last name is Manning. His first name is Arch. Short. They didn't name him Archie after his granddad. They didn't name him Archie. They just named him Arch. Now, he's going to be in the class of 2023. I don't care what school he ends up at. They're going to have to give him a bag. They're going to have to do it. Yeah. And Kevin, these are the things that we know, right? Like the name alone. 2004 NFL draft. Archie Manning comes out and says, my son, Eli, grown man, will not be playing for the then San Diego Chargers. You didn't say, I don't want to be a part of it. You just did. So now the grandson just happens to come around during name and image likeness. There's a kid that hasn't even played at Ohio State. They got $1 million. He got $1 million. What is I can't even think of his name right now. Quarterback out of Oklahoma that went to USC. I can't even think of his name right now. He goes to Oklahoma. He goes to USC. You already know Lincoln Riley was like, we better do something. All I know is Kevin, wherever Archie look. I mean, surprise. This is not a shock. My Florida Gators, they in on him, and I'm like Billy. I mean, you know,
his last name's Manning.
I'm giving him signals like I'm a third base coach. I'm telling him, but I do think that though, Kevin, we knew it was gonna be this, right? Like let's not kid ourselves, right? Nick Saban is talking about it. Dabo Swinney is talking about it. The number one and we're at number.
But are they sending up appropriate red flags saying, is this what we want it to be? Where it's simply, I mean, I guess you could say it was already that anyway, but it's simply a dollars race to buy the best players. And once you do that, once you do that, it's over. Like there's only going to be 8 or 10 programs that can sit there and dump that kind of.
I was always thinking of, okay, you come in, you go to school X, you come in, you get this. Like under name it, you get this for coming here. Like we haven't even talked about what you'll get individually, but because you come here, you get this like a welcome package. I think that should be standard. Because Kevin, let's just call it what it is. If you go to a big school, that's the school you chose. That's not the school. That's one of the options that you chose. At a certain point, you like, dude, we just get stuff clothes that got the logo on it, like. Because everybody gets that. I can go to the fan shop to get that. And I think that giving them something, because let's face it, man, most people ain't never seen no thousands of dollars. We act as if it got now. You can get the meal.
But I think we've gone from that to much more than that on a lot of that stuff, because I think it is one of those things where, you know, you look at the young man from Central Florida who's like, have a YouTube channel. I want to monetize that because I do stuff on my YouTube channel. Nope, can't do that. Well, why not? I think people look at that and go, name, image, likeness. That's where it applies. Hey, I'm the starting quarterback at Georgia. I got a company, and we saw Brock Bowers. Hey, Zaxby's wants to get involved with me. Okay, you had some big plays in the national championship. People know you. That makes sense. Now you're seeing guys who don't play get huge deals, and you're going, okay, just the simple rules of marketing would dictate, if I don't know who you are, that's going to limit what I want to do. Like $1 million for a kid who has not played college football.
And once again, national appeal gets national dollars. I was told that. You got national appeal, man. You get national dollars. What you mean? Well, look at the people who get marketed nationally. Tom Brady. Eli Manning benefits from Peyton Manning and being a Manning. So I think now, Kevin, what you're going on now is you're saying, look, man, do I want to give a local, quote, celebrity national dollars? Because if I can't look at you and know who you are without saying this is so and so on the bottom of his name, but you know, I just think that you got to be careful, man. If I'm a booster and I want to get a player, I'm like, all right, like I can, you know, I'm gonna throw a couple of dollars in the hat, but I'm not my return on investment, man. I mean, how do I gauge that?
I think some people would say my return on investment is, do you win the national championship?
Yeah.
And if you did, I guess they'll say it was all worth it. But because people are sitting there looking at Texas, and I know Jimbo's like, oh no, it has no influence. Come on, like you spent a whole bunch of money on your recruiting class to get them there. Don't shy away from that. Again, under the rules, did you do anything wrong? No, but you can't shy away from that and say it had no effect. Like all of a sudden, College Station, Texas, is the hotbed of college football recruiting. How'd that happen? Not saying you don't get any of them, but you literally got the best class
and look,
in the history of America.
And the thing about it is too, Kevin. I mean, it's like Jimbo. Listen. It's in the open. It's cool. It's like we look.
But I think I agree with Nick Saban to a point and said, look, is this what we want to create as the sport?
Yes,
as an individual program, I could look at it and say, it is great. As the health of the sport, I could take the long view and say, it's good and it's created a lot more problems.
Because, like I said, that transfer portal, a big reason why it is filled up is because a lot of these players felt as though their value was much more than what it is, man. Your value once you get to college is all about what you do on the field.
We've got more to come. Again, I'm sure that's not the last time any of these guys will be asked about name, image, likeness. We'll have more to talk about that. We got more to come. 3 and Out, Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Braves out on the West Coast, San Diego, where the weather's always nice. They got the 4-gamer with the Padres. We'll see if the Braves break any of the unwritten rules tonight of the game and get the Padres all fired up. But Charlie Morton against Joe Musgrove should be a good one tonight. Want to see some of those Braves bats going. I went and double checked. Then you've got Eddie Rosario batting 050. Dansby's batting 160. You've got Alec Dickerson batting 0. Manny Pena, your backup catcher, batting 0. So you got some guys that hopefully get something to start falling in out there in the next couple of days and have it start evening itself out.
Please get a hit. I didn't know people could bat 0 and 050 and all this. Please get a hit.
Well, if you don't get a hit, you're going to always stay at 0.
Yeah, please get a hit. Get some momentum. Listen, the party is officially over.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear anything else. Go out there and get you a win. Let's get on the road. Let's get back into the win column.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. Like yesterday, I totally forgot about it because we were talking about the week-long party and all the stuff that we did. Yesterday was like Champions Day where they had the Georgia champions and the Braves champions, like celebration going on. So yeah, the party is officially over. Time to settle in. Let's just play some baseball. Alex Dickerson, I know you're hitting the ball hard right at somebody. Something's got to fall in. We can't have the DH batting 0 a week into the season. We'll see. Braves later tonight, 6:55 pregame and first pitch just after 8 o'clock. We will see you tomorrow on a good Friday. Here's 3 and Out, Southern Pigskin Radio Network.